is 5 Live Sport.
The Champions League with Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Good evening and welcome to 5 Live Sport. The second round of games in the Champions League begins tonight. Our main focus is on the Emirates, where Arsenal face the French champions PSG.
Hello.
Full commentary from 8 o'clock. We'll also have updates of Slovan Bratislava against Manchester City and Borussia Dortmund against Celtic. It's a busy night of action in the EFL2, and on the BBC Sport website you can listen to the rearranged League Cup tie between Newcastle and Wimbledon from 7:45. Our base, as I said, though, this evening, the Emirates, where Arsenal welcome PSG in the second match week of the new and revamped UEFA Champions League. There were a couple of question marks over the fitness, particularly in that Arsenal defence. Ian Dennis has all the answers. Evening, Deno.
Good evening, Kelly. Yeah, there were a couple of question marks, but everybody is okay. Calafiore obviously was one of those doubts, so he is fit. And in fact, Arsenal have named an unchanged side from the team that beat Leicester City here at the weekend. So Raya in goal, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiore, Partey, Rice, Havertz, Saka, Martinelli and Trossard. There's also Mikel Moreno is on the bench. You might recall after he'd just signed, he injured his shoulder in his first training session, but he's been back involved with the Arsenal players this week, and he is amongst the substitutes. Now for Paris Saint-Germain, Ousmane Dembele has been left at home following a dispute with Luis Enrique, their manager, so he actually hasn't travelled. So whilst that obviously is an advantage to Arsenal, at least the French champions are boosted by the return of the imposing figure of Gianluigi Donnarumma in goal. He's missed the last 3 games with a thigh injury, but he is back in goal. Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho and Nuno Mendes, the defence. Zaire Emery, Vitinha, João Neves, Bradley Barcola, Lee and Desire Doué will lead the line. Fabian Ruiz, you might recall he was outstanding for Spain in the Euros in the summer. He's been struggling of late with an ankle injury, so he's only amongst the substitutes.
Alongside Deno this evening, former England international Leon Osman. And although Arsenal have already faced Manchester City in the league this season, Leon, Mikel Arteta has been saying as far as the Champions League is concerned, this is about as tough as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're playing against a team that gets to the latter stages more often than not. They know how to negotiate this competition. They're full of quality. Yes, they may have lost Dembele, they may have lost Mbappe over the summer, but they've still got quality in abundance, and I'm sure he's just trying to make his team aware that this is a big occasion. This is a wonderful Champions League evening, but also it's an opportunity to go and make a statement and go and show everybody else how good Arsenal can be. I think that Arsenal are a team of quality as well, and I actually fancy Arsenal tonight.
Leon, will be back with you and with Deno very shortly, but after a comfortable 5-1 win over Slovan Bratislava in match week 1, Celtic are second in the revamped Champions League table. Now they're off to Germany to take on Borussia Dortmund, and this one will be tougher, Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, I think it probably will be tougher, and Brendan Rodgers' joke last week or the week before probably got lost in the media about just stopping the Champions League right now so that him and Celtic and Bayern Munich could just play the final. But it's been 32 years, Kelly, since these two last played each other. It was the UEFA Cup second round tie. Dortmund won 1-0 that night, but for match day 2 then, of course, they want to keep going as they played so well. It was exemplary performance, not just from them, but from Dortmund, as you say, on match day 1. Goals very much the order of the night. Both teams have scored 21 goals in their last 4 outings in all competitions. Dortmund have conceded 3 times as many as Celtic in the same period. That's 9 versus 3. Celtic flying in Scotland, and of course the hosts unbeaten in front of the yellow wall in the last 8 in all competitions. One other thing to look out for tonight, Jose Maria Sanchez, our referee this evening, has dished out 37 yellow cards in 6 matches this season, and 2 reds to boot as well. So that said, it should be a good night. Team news though, Celtic are unchanged from the team that won 6-0 away to St Johnstone at the weekend. Cameron Carter-Vickers is still out injured, he's not travelled. And Dortmund, it's the same team against that played and won 4-2 against Bochum at the weekend. And the England under-21 Jamie Gittins, he starts tonight, and you will remember he scored twice off the bench against Club Brugge in match day 1, so that we look forward to that. And Rodgers says as well, it's an acid test that they will be up for tonight, and I cannot wait for this game, Kelly.
Gavin, really looking forward to hearing you bringing the reports from that game. One way or another, as Gavin was telling us, that one is going to be eventful. And with 3 draws from their last 4, Man City are going to be hoping to get back to more familiar patterns with a win against Slovan Bratislava tonight. Conor McNamara is going to be watching this one for us. Hi, Conor.
Hello, Kelly. Tonight they've made the 1,200-mile journey to Slovakia, where, as you say, Manchester City will expect to win tonight. They drew that opening Champions League game against Inter. They've drawn their last 2 Premier League matches in a row. And Pep Guardiola's named a team tonight with Stefan Ortega in goal. Edison is on the bench. John Stones and Rico Lewis both start, with Manuel Akanji making his 50th appearance in the Champions League. There's a race start to the team for Mateus Nunes in midfield. He's along Gundogan, who's the captain. Phil Foden takes over the Kevin De Bruyne role. Savinho and Doku either side of Haaland. Now, Slovan are top of their domestic league, but this is a big step up for them. First time they've been in the Champions League. Heavily beaten 5-1 by Celtic in the opening game of this competition. They know tonight won't be any easier. Their captain is Vladimir Weiss, who used to be on the City books. He came through their academy a long time ago. He won the FA Youth Cup during his time as a Manchester City youth player. Never made a senior appearance for the club. His dad is the Slovan coach, and Robert Mack, who's on the bench for Slovan tonight, he was a City youth player in the past. But if City win or draw tonight, basically if they don't lose, they will equal Manchester United's long-standing record for the most unbeaten games in either European Cup or Champions League.
Thank you very much for that, Conor. We'll get lots of updates from Conor throughout the evening as well. But our commentary team, as we heard earlier, is Ian Dennis and Leon Osman. Arsenal have had a really tough start to the season in terms of the level of opposition. They've had red cards, they've played Villa, Spurs, Manchester City, Atalanta. All of them have come away from home, and they're still unbeaten. Deno, I know you were at the last Premier League match against Leicester, and there was a little bit of a wobble for Arsenal. There was, maybe a little bit of criticism of the way they went about the game against Manchester City yet again, in terms of the way that they play against their Premier League rivals. Are there cracks in this Arsenal side, or is this an opportunity to show that they have the strength to back up those results?
I think it's a chance to show their strength, and in fact I think their resilience that they've shown actually in recent years under Mikel Arteta is borne out in a number of ways. Their away record in the Premier League, where they are undefeated, and as you say, that was a real test at Manchester City, and also where they've shown resilience in coming back on the back of European performances domestically. That has been a noticeable improvement in the last couple of years. I think where they still need to improve is their away form in Europe, because on their travels last year they were, I think, indifferent would be certainly a fair way to describe it. I think the point that they got in Bergamo could be a good one if they back it up with 3 points here today. What they are missing is Ødegaard, so they've got to try and find a different way, but they deserve the win against Leicester at the weekend. I think Mikel Arteta will be unhappy that it looked a formality at half-time how they allowed Leicester City back into the game, but they kept on playing. I think the crowd obviously helped them as well, and we can all remember the days of when it was quite toxic here. That's gone now. The crowd really did play their part on Saturday, and in the absence of Ødegaard, I think Mikel Arteta will be very pleased how they responded. And indeed, Luis Enrique has said that they are one of the best sides in the world without the ball. But this will be a test for Arsenal, obviously, and missing once more the presence of Ødegaard as a creative and influential figure in the midfield.
There's a really lovely piece on the website by Matthew Howarth talking about Mikel Arteta's time at Paris Saint-Germain when he went there on loan from Barcelona. He was a young player. His colleagues at the time talk about his football brain. Mauricio Pochettino was there. He said he already was a coach, even at that stage. Leon, you played alongside Mikel Arteta at Everton as well, and this is a real test of that footballing brain that people talk about, particularly with those home fixtures coming up for Arsenal. This is about juggling his pack and still getting those results.
Yeah, of course. He played in France, he played in Spain, he played in England, he played in Scotland. He's had an opportunity to play under managers such as Arsene Wenger and work alongside Pep Guardiola. He's had a real education in how to understand every aspect of football, and now he's in management. Now he's learning how to play chess within that, and how to use players at certain times and in certain moments. And I think he's been getting the balance right for a number of seasons and bringing Arsenal closer and closer to success. I think at the moment, Ian just touched on it there, that their away form has been a bit indifferent in European football. Their home form has been... I think there's just a slight thing about balance. I think when Arsenal are defending, they're outstanding. When Arsenal are attacking, they're outstanding. I think away from home in European football, I think they've not quite always got the balance right, and I hope we can get to see it tonight. I hope we get to see, because PSG will make them defend at times, there's no doubt about that, but they can't just defend. They've got to go and show that they can really control the game of football over the 90 minutes and occupy PSG defensively. They're very good at slowing the game and they're very good at dictating the tempo. We've seen injuries, we've seen people, when they were down to 10 men at Manchester City, how they managed to negotiate the clock. They're very good in many aspects of the game, but it's about putting them all together.
Kelly, I listened back to Guillaume Balaguer's outstanding interview with Mikel Arteta. It's called People and Places. It's still available on BBC Sounds, but he was talking about his time when he went to Paris. He was 17 at the time. He was playing for Barcelona B, and he got a phone call from his agent, and Luis Fernandez, who was the manager of Paris Saint-Germain at the time, wanted to take him, but he actually wanted him a year before that, when he was in charge of Athletic Bilbao the previous season. And Arteta, I think, had a few doubts. He was only 17 at the time, and Luis Fernandez said, "I believe in you." And so it was a slightly different path for him, but his mum went with him to Paris. They actually lived in the hotel for the first 3 months with Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino, who I think is here tonight, was in that same hotel as he helped bed him into life in Paris. And of course we all know what happened to his career on the back of that. Glasgow Rangers, Arsenal, Everton.
Yeah, fantastic. And as you say, it has been an incredible career, but there's always these kind of sliding doors moments in anyone's career, and that certainly seems to be one for Mikel Arteta. And now he goes up against Paris Saint-Germain, whose fans have been so loud and so impressive already at the Emirates this evening. Julien Laurent is at the Emirates for us. Julien, look, it's a miserable night in North London. It's absolutely pouring with rain. A lot of the Arsenal fans are waiting right to the last minute to come and take their seats, pretty much understandably.
Yeah, he's on the coach line, so much.
But the Paris fans have been incredible, haven't they?
Hi Kelly, hi everyone. Yeah, they have. To be fair to them, they would have gone in early, but they had to come in early anyway, because they're, as the away fans, they were kind of escorted, if you want, not to cause any troubles or anything like that. So even if they had wanted a beer or two at the pub nearby here, they couldn't have done so anyway. So, but still, you're right, 3,000 of them, half of them are ultras, and some of us were in Dortmund, for example, in the semi-final, where they were just incredible against the yellow wall. And this is what they do. They are, I know I'm completely biased, as you know, but they are one of the best fan base in Europe.
Jules, we'll come back to you to talk a little bit more about the football closer to kick-off, but there's a breaking story in the last couple of hours, which is that Bruno Fernandes will be available for Manchester United's next 3 games following a successful claim of wrongful dismissal. The midfielder was sent off for serious foul play during the Premier League match against Tottenham on Sunday. Leon, you were at that game. There seems to be a consensus that it was an extremely harsh red card. So do you go along with the decision to overturn that decision?
Yeah, I do. I think I described it at the time as a slip. And from the initial speed that it happened, the distance that I saw it from, it didn't look great. But as soon as you slow it down, as soon as you saw it close up in the replay, yes, he does catch him high, but it's with the back of his heel, it's with the back of his leg rather than the studs, and a dangerous full force tackle. So yeah, I can understand why it was overturned.
Leon, for now, thank you very much. As I say, more to come ahead of kick-off, which is 13 minutes away at the Emirates between Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. Also part of our coverage tonight, we'll have updates from the rescheduled League Cup tie between Newcastle and AFC Wimbledon. And this time, Charlie Slater, for what will be obvious reasons for anyone who saw Wimbledon's pitch, it's from St James's Park.
It is, yeah. Good evening, Kelly. Backed by around 1,500 Wimbledon fans who've made the near 600-mile round trip at short notice. They're hoping their side can spring another upset. They brought with them 2 big banners that are hung high in the Leazes End, thanking Newcastle and the wider footballing family for raising £120,000 to help repair their pitch after flooding. But having already dumped Premier League Ipswich out on penalties, that's where those pleasantries will probably end. They make 3 changes for a Wimbledon side that's ranked 67 places lower than Newcastle, who make 8. Cher, Joe Linton and Barnes, the 3 to keep their places from Saturday's draw with Manchester City. 2 minutes on the clock, 0-0.
Charlie, thank you very much for that. We've got reporters at a couple of championship matches this evening as well. Sunderland have lost 2 of their last 3, so they're keen to rediscover the form that had them at the top of the table last month at the Stadium of Light this evening. Rob Law.
Evening, Kelly. When Regis Lebris took over at Sunderland, he insisted their form here would be key this season, and it has been. They've played 3 and won 3 on home soil, and what's more impressive is the fact they're yet to concede a single goal on Wearside. A win tonight could take them top. They're unchanged from a narrow 2-1 defeat at Watford on Saturday. Striker Wilson Isidore keeps his place up front after scoring on his first start. In contrast, Derby yet to pick up a single point away from home following their promotion to the Championship, and coming to this one off the back of losing the last 2. Their last win on Wearside, meanwhile, was back in 1990, some 34 years ago. Paul Warne makes 4 changes for the Rams. Amongst them, Marcus Harness makes his first start on loan from Ipswich, as does Nat Phillips on loan from Liverpool. Nathaniel Mendez-Lang and top scorer Caden Jackson drop to the bench.
Thank you, Rob. West Brom are now top of the table. They're 1 place above Sunderland, but they're up against tough opposition tonight. Middlesbrough are at the Hawthorns, and watching that one for us, Lee Blakeman.
And West Brom are looking to respond following their first league defeat of the season at the weekend, Kelly. That coming following a run of 4 straight wins before that. They know what they're doing here, though, unbeaten and yet to concede a goal at the Hawthorns so far. They come up against a Middlesbrough team who sit 8th and can move to within 2 points of them with a win, as they look to make it back-to-back league victories for the first time this season following Saturday's win against Stoke.
Lee, thank you very much. Keeping us across the Champions League this evening, John Bennett.
Hi Kelly. Bayer Leverkusen against AC Milan stands out tonight. The German side aiming to win their first 2 matches of a Champions League campaign for the first time since 2001. That was the season when they made it all the way to the final. Milan, meanwhile, have won back-to-back Serie A games, and Tammy Abraham makes his 3rd start in a row for them. Meanwhile, after losing their opening match to Monaco with 10 men and losing at the weekend in La Liga, the pressure's on Barcelona. They're facing young boys. Frankie de Jong is back on the bench after his long-term ankle injury.
John, thank you very much. Back to the Emirates ahead of Arsenal against PSG. Less than 10 minutes to go until kick-off. Julian, we promised that we were going to talk about PSG in terms of what happens on the pitch, but actually, Ousmane Dembele isn't going to be on the pitch because he's been left out of tonight's squad. What on earth's gone on?
Crazy story, Kelly, really. We didn't see this one coming yesterday when we were all told that he hadn't travelled. Just an argument apparently with the manager Luis Enrique on Friday night after the win against Rennes, where it is true, to be fair, that Dembele in his decision making during the game had a couple of wrong moments, if you want, and Luis Enrique after the game told him off a little bit. Dembele didn't take it that well, and I think there was a few words exchanged there that got a little bit heated, and then Luis Enrique said, listen, you're not in the right mindset to play on Tuesday night in what is a massive game for us, so I'm going to leave you at home. So he's watching on his sofa tonight or listening to 5 Live.
I would imagine he's listening to 5 Live, although it might well be encrypted if he's trying to listen to it from France. But in terms of what PSG do, trying to cope without him, is it about a like-for-like replacement? Do they change how they approach it tactically? What do you think they're going to do?
So, I mean, Dembele is PSG's best player this season and certainly the most talented player of his whole squad anyway. So it's not just that, it's that every pattern of play, especially to build up from the back and to beat the press of the opposition, goes through the right-hand side with Hakimi, Zaire Emery and Dembele. So Desiré Doué, who's a really good young promising player, has come on that right-hand side. Nothing will change in terms of how PSG play and move the ball. It's just that he's not Dembele, and he's very good, but he's still not Dembele. So I think PSG is massively weakened by the absence of Ousmane Dembele. Whether you respect or not the decision of Luis Enrique, is still a massive gamble, because if they get beaten easily today, then the criticism will go over the manager and that decision to drop Dembele for what really, I think, I'm sure Leon had some disagreements with managers in his career, and that didn't mean that he would stay at home for the next game. So it may be a little bit strict from Luis Enrique, but this is how he lacks the discipline, and the club has supported him. I just think it's a massive call.
Is it a massive call, particularly, Leon, because they're coming up against the best defence in Europe? There was a question mark as to whether Calafiori would be fit for this one, but he is available for Arsenal, and they get to pick that strong defence that we've already seen in action that are just clicking.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a surprise. You know, I've been involved in many dressing rooms where there's been, shall we say, strong disagreements, but never to the point that a player is left behind. I mean, it has to be something really big for that to happen. I mean, football has changed. Modern day footballers don't necessarily stand up to the manager or have those kind of arguments very often anymore. So maybe, you know, it's a sign of the change in times. But it certainly, as Julian was saying, it's certainly going to make the PSG weaker, and it should strengthen Arsenal even before they kick off. When you get that team sheet in, or when you find out early yesterday that's not going to be the case, that he's not going to be there, suddenly you start to think about what you can do without him being in the team. You don't need to worry as much in that position. Calafiori of playing on the back foot. Now you can start thinking about, can I step in? Can I do something offensively? What can we do in his absence? So it's definitely a boost for Arsenal. It's whether they can take advantage of that.
And you know what, I think, Kelly, just to finish on Doué and Dembele, and because a lot of the listeners would have never seen Désiré Doué play, which I understand. The only difference is with Dembele is that Dembele is a pure winger. You know, he's got the pace, he's got the skill set to be a winger, he's got both feet, great. Désiré Doué has both feet, but he's more, I think, of an attacking midfielder in that sense. So if Calafiori comes inside, for example, for Arsenal, which we expected him to do at Man City, for example, which I think he's very capable too, and which I think he will do tonight, I think it's more natural for Désiré Doué to come inside with him and follow him more than a Dembele, who's really all his life has only known that touchline and just following the line up and down, really. So on that level, tactically, everything you've lost from Dembele in terms of, we said, the talent and the fact that he's the best player for PSG this season, you maybe get on a slightly different profile from a Désiré Doué without the ball for PSG.
Jules, in some ways this is a win-win for you this evening with Arsenal taking on Paris Saint-Germain. But is it just a matter of time before one of these clubs wins this trophy?
Yeah, I think so. Although Arsenal are much advanced in their project compared to PSG. For PSG, this is the start of the project. Tonight, the team average age is 23 years old. Arsenal is almost 26. And that is a big difference, I think, at this level. So this is a very young, unexperienced PSG side. But the project, if they can build it, they moved away from the bling-bling superstar signing of Messi, Neymar and Mbappe to build a more cohesive team, if you want. So I think there's something in there. Arsenal are much advanced already, and I think they're obviously closer, and we will see it tonight. But I mean, I can't lose tonight, obviously. It's a massive game for the Lawrence household. All the Lawrences are here everywhere with the PSG fans, somewhere in the boxes on the left, everywhere. So it's a massive game for us.
Do you envisage Paris Saint-Germain struggling to qualify? I know they were the semi-finalists last year, but you look at the remaining games: PSV, Atletico, Bayern away, Salzburg, Manchester City home and Stuttgart away. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. They will make the playoff, the last 32 round if you want.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they finish top 8 and go straight to the last 16. The last 32 they will do. And again, this is a learning curve for them. So I don't think they mind those tough games and then see what that leads them.
Jules, we're going to let you go because I don't want you to miss kick-off in this one. It's a huge game coming up between Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. We will be talking to Julien Laurent a little bit later on. As he said, huge night in the Laurent's household. However, it's a huge night in terms of the Champions League and what lies ahead for them. And a big night for British sides as well. Celtic are in action. They are second in the table as things stand. They go to Borussia Dortmund, though, this evening. Slovan Bratislava is the destination for Manchester City. We'll keep you across everything that happens in both of those games and that EFL Cup replay, or EFL Cup now being played between Wimbledon and Newcastle, and we'll keep you across everything that's happening in the Championship as well. But our commentary this evening comes from the Emirates, where it's Arsenal against Paris Saint-Germain in the company of Leon Osman and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly. The two teams are out on the pitch as the Champions League anthem is sounded here at the Emirates. And as I look over to the Paris Saint-Germain supporters in the corner, they've got held aloft their red, blue and white scarves as there is an Arsenal banner that is unfurled also away towards our right-hand side. On what is a wet and miserable evening in North London. Today is going to have a very much of a feel of a Saturday afternoon with the scores that are going in, because it's a busy night all round in the Football League. So let me just bring you up to date with the goals that have been going in. Morecambe are leading Bradford City by 1-0 in League 2. Northampton Town 0, Bolton 1. Newport 1, Salford City 0. Stevenage lead Wrexham by 1-0 in League 1. In the Championship, Luton Town are leading Oxford United by a goal to nil. Carlisle 0, Notts County 1, Wigan 1, Peterborough 0, Crawley 0, Mansfield 1, and Coventry City are leading Blackburn Rovers by a goal to nil. Blackburn third in the table and are unbeaten. So with that in mind, actually, we are available on the red button tonight. If you do want Champions League final score, then the red button on the iPlayer is also available. But we'll keep you in touch with what's going on. And here, with the wet conditions, we should have the makings of an entertaining game.
Yeah, we should do, and hopefully that'll be the case. Two teams that are very good with the football. They've got very outstanding technicians within all aspects of the pitch, really. We know Arsenal can defend as well as they have done in the Premier League. We saw them go away to Atalanta and keep that clean sheet in the first match week of the Champions League as well. So, you know, with the weather, with the crisp pitch, with the noise that PSG fans are making, and the Arsenal will certainly be joining in that, we should be in for a really good evening.
Well, Arsenal have named an unchanged side from the team that beat Leicester. They're in their red and white shirts and their white shorts. Raya is in goal. Back four of Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Partey, Rice and Havertz, Saka, Trossard and Martinelli. Mikel Moreno is amongst the substitutes. There is still no Ben White, incidentally, who's out with a groin injury. As for Paris Saint-Germain, who are wearing their predominantly navy shirts and shorts with that broad red stripe going through the middle, they've made 4 changes from the team that beat Girona on match day 1 by a goal to nil, courtesy of an own goal by Paulo Gazzaniga, the former Spurs and Southampton goalkeeper, in the 90th minute. They were at home to the Spanish side as they squeaked their way through, one of 15 winners in the match day 1 in the new league phase of this revamped competition. So Donnarumma is back in goal. He's missed the last 3 with a thigh injury. Hakimi at right back, Marquinhos and Pacho are the 2 central defenders. Nuno Mendes has recovered from a virus. He missed the weekend. They played on Friday against Rennes. He missed that game, so he's in at left back. Zaire Emery, Vitinha and João Neves in the midfield. Fabian Ruiz is at least on the bench after being injured with an ankle problem, but there's no Dembele. So Barcola, Lee and Doué lead the line for Paris Saint-Germain. They've moved away from the megastars now of Paris Saint-Germain in the hope of trying to get more of a collective, a team effort. They are unbeaten in 10 if you go back to last season as well. So this will be a test for Arsenal as we're underway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at both teams, Arsenal had an issue a few seasons back with senior players that weren't necessarily putting the work in that the fans and the manager desired. They went with youth and started to develop that, and PSG are the same. And you know, I think it shows that if you can get players early, get the right attitudes, nurture the quality within, the desire and the hunger to go out and work for the result first and foremost, and then show your quality afterwards, you can see the progression of both sides.
That's the voice of Leon Osman. We were together in Bergamo a couple of weeks ago for that goalless draw. Might well still prove to be a very good point for Arsenal on their travels. Norwich City are leading Leeds United by a goal to nil in the Championship at Carrow Road, and Bromley are leading Chesterfield by a goal to nil in League 2. As Arsenal are playing from left to right as we look. We were on the gantry at the weekend. We had such an elevated position, but we're down in the press box here tonight, a little bit lower, right at the halfway line, as Mikel Arteta is already watching on, as is Luis Enrique. Arteta, who used to train with Luis Enrique when he was a youngster coming through the ranks at Barcelona. But Saka has done well. Feeds it inside right channel in the penalty area to Havertz. Pulls it back to Partey. He goes square. This is Gabriel, Calafiori. And there's a flag up on this near side. Free kick to Paris Saint-Germain, offside.
Yeah, it was Havertz just drifted in behind Pacho just a yard too early, had to wait for the pass. It was clearly in an offside position, the assistant just trying to play advantage, but it was very encouraging for Arsenal down this right hand side. The way Bukayo Saka just skipped by Mendes, just took him 1v1, dropped his shoulder, came inside of the PSG fullback as if he wasn't even there. So great early signs for Saka.
Walsall, who've won all 4 at home, or all 4 previous home games in League 2, are leading once again at the Bescott Stadium, this time at Fleetwood Town. That's in League 2. They are going well. They are second in the table. Tranmere Rovers 1, Swindon Town 0 is also a latest score in League 2. This is the Champions League on a busy night of football and a busy week of football on BBC Radio 5 Live, where the BBC Sounds app is always the perfect way to take us with you wherever you go. We're at Villa Park tomorrow night. Aston Villa against Bayern. It's a flat ball through the middle. Donnarumma quickly off his goal line. Martinelli had made the run forward. It was a darting run. Martinelli and Donnarumma have both stayed down. Excellent vision by Raya. And Donnarumma, his anticipation helped him, but he's picked up a knock in the process.
Yeah, two players just completely committed to try and go and win the ball. Eyes on it completely, as you say. Arsenal trying to play the ball around at the back, spread themselves really wide. PSG just stepped in, tried to really go man for man, stop Arsenal playing out, and it just exposed a ball over the top. David Raya saw it, played it direct, and Donnarumma's probably a yard or two ahead of his penalty spot, right in the centre of the goal. That's how far the pass made it off this slick turf. Martinelli just stretching, trying to get a toe on it, just to knock it over. Donnarumma didn't quite make contact with the ball, and the two collided. Referee writing, saying it was just a collision, nothing malicious, but really good goalkeeping, and Martinelli's not looking great at the moment.
When I said that Donnarumma had missed the last 3 games with a thigh problem, if that's his right thigh, that will be aggravated now, because Martinelli really did catch him. He's back on his feet, looks like he's going to be able to continue. Just to go back to what I was saying before that, 3 nights of successive European action on BBC Radio 5 Live, because on Thursday night we'll be in the Estadio Dragao for the Europa League game between Porto and Manchester United. But this is the Champions League, 4 minutes in, and after that, minor stoppage, 0-0, we're about to get back underway. With those Paris Saint-Germain supporters, as Jules Laurent was saying, many of them are ultras. They are a boisterous bunch. There's good atmosphere inside the Emirates tonight, and Arsenal have started confidently. It's a throw to Paris Saint-Germain, which Nuno Mendes will take. He missed the game against Rennes with a virus on Friday night. His throw down this near side to Barcola, who's the leading goal scorer in Ligue 1, is Bradley Barcola. In fact, 5 goals last season. He's already eclipsed that, with 6 for his tally already this season. So the 22-year-old French international has started the season in fine form. Rice wins the ball back for Arsenal in the midfield. Gabriel, Partey, back then with Saliba. Chesterfield have equalised at Bromley in League 2. Bromley 1, Chesterfield 1. Timber passes the ball back to David Raya, and Raya now will just stroke it back out to the Dutchman on this near side. Saka being followed midway through the Arsenal half, loses the ball. Here is Barcola, edge of the area, and that was João Neves who tried to take it on into the penalty box. An Arsenal player has gone down. It'll be a free kick to the home team. 0-0. Leon Osman.
Yeah, it's Trossard that's gone down inside his own penalty area. Worked really hard to get back in to make sure that, despite losing the ball in a very dangerous position there, Arsenal, Bukayo Saka just guilty of dawdling on it about 5 yards outside his own penalty area. How quickly Arsenal get bodies behind the ball and recover into good positions. Trossard just nicking in front of João Neves, who was trying to get a shot on the volley, just touched the ball, took the hit as João Neves followed through. So yeah, both teams trying to start and playing from the back, but both teams are encouraging in the press.
Must say, what a start it's been for another French club in the Champions League, Brest. Their first UEFA competition in their history, and they've won 2 out of 2, because earlier today, in one of the 2 earlier games, they won away 4-0 in Salzburg. Here is Trossard, left corner of the area. Hasn't been too shabby a start either for Sparta Prague. They've got 4 points out of 6. They've followed up with that beating of Salzburg in their opening game with a 1-1 draw away at Stuttgart. That's a creditable performance indeed. But here it's 0-0. Paris Saint-Germain with a throw over on that far side, the right. Marquinhos will pass the ball back to Donnarumma, and there is a penalty in the Westfalenstadion. Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, it's the Borussia Dortmund. Emre Can is about to step up. Gittins was all the way through. It was clumsy from Schmeichel. He's been booked for darting out at the England under-21's feet. as Chan now has been told that he can take it. He's just freshening himself up for a second or two. I suspect he'll hit this maybe down to his left hand side. He takes a small run up, it's stuttered, he goes left, straight down the middle actually, and it's a goal to Borussia Dortmund. Emre Can on 7 minutes. Borussia Dortmund 1, Celtic 0.
So Borussia Dortmund are ahead there. They won their opening game 3-0 away to Bruges, and from Dortmund to Priestfield, where Gillingham 0, Grimsby Town 1 is the latest score in League 2. So the League 2 leaders are behind. They have won their last 3. Arsenal have a throw on the right hand side. Timber looks for Saka, cut out though in the midfield by Zaire Emery, and then Saliba will go back to retrieve it for Arsenal. 10 yards inside his own half, back towards David Raya. Square ball to Saliba. Saliba can run forward. He finds Havertz, who plays it back. Here is Partey to Declan Rice. Now with Gabriel, pushes the ball forward on that left hand side. Trossard now to Martinelli, running in. Calafiori now takes over from a central area. He helps it on towards Saka. Saka inside the penalty area, curling effort just over the top. Good play by Arsenal, goal kick 0-0.
Yeah, really good play by Arsenal. What they're doing, in fact, they've got Trossard and Havertz. Both of them at times are going right up front, and then one of them at a great time is just dropping into a bit of space. Neither centre half can be brave enough to go into the position to track him all the way. It was Trossard over on that far side of the pitch, played an inside pass to an underlapping run from Martinelli. It just opened up the whole field that ended up with that Saka shot. Brilliant play from Arsenal.
Still goalless here at the Emirates, but if you're listening and watching on Champions League final score on the red button, you'll see that Manchester City have taken the lead in Bratislava. Watching is Conor McNamara.
Yes, it's an early goal for Manchester City. Ilkay Gundogan will claim it. His shot towards the target takes a wicked deflection off a defender. That steers it away from the diving goalkeeper. Manchester City up and running inside 10 minutes. They lead against Slovan Bratislava.
Northampton Town 0, Bolton Wanderers 2, and Barcelona, who actually lost their opening game away to Monaco, are leading Young Boys by a goal to 0. Barcelona 1, Young Boys 0. Paris Saint-Germain, meanwhile, have got a corner kick. 9.5 minutes played, goalless here in North London. The Paris Saint-Germain far side the right have a corner.
Yeah, they've certainly not come to just sit back behind the ball, keep possession and just play out the minutes. Paris Saint-Germain, they've certainly come to get at this Arsenal team. It was Hakimi inside the Arsenal penalty area that won the corner.
Corner far side, the right, it's an in-swinger, and it's headed on and then headed away by Trossard and met by Mendes on the volley on the edge of the area, and Arteta is apoplectic. He was certainly voicing his frustration. Celtic have equalised, incidentally. We'll get news of that when we can with Gavin. Borussia Dortmund 1, Celtic 1. In fact, here is Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, and it's been a great goal. Well worked down that right-hand side. Ball whipped into Dyson Maeda. He gets there ahead of Emre Can, who's just scored the penalty. And in mid-air with the outside of the boot, sticks it home. Dortmund 1, Celtic 1.
You might recall they put 5 past Slovan Bratislava on match day 1. Arsenal clear the ball after taking the goal kick short by Gabriel. But that was William Pacho, the Ecuadorian international defender who climbed high. Very tall and sleek at the back is the 22-year-old who they signed from Eintracht Frankfurt in the summer after just one season in Germany. William Pacho, who is partnering Marquinhos, who's making his 450th appearance for Paris Saint-Germain here tonight. They go long, and Calafiori back towards Raya, has to clear it first time, finds the chest of Declan Rice midway through the Arsenal half, back to Calafiori on that far side, and Raya then puts his left boot through that and goes long. Borussia Dortmund are back in front, into lead Red Star by a goal to 0. Fleetwood have equalised at Walsall 1-1. Walsall and Fleetwood, and Newport County lead Salford City by 2 goals to 0. And in the Championship, Burnley are leading at home to Plymouth by a goal to 0. Scott Parker's side are 4 unbeaten. They were 4th in the table in the Championship. A Josh Brownhill penalty at Turf Moor. Let's get news of that second goal for Borussia Dortmund. Gavin.
So easy, Ian, for Borussia Dortmund. Ball whipped up from the goalkeeper. It then finds its way into Brandt in the middle of the park. He slips it through to Adeyemi, and all he has to do is get beyond the Celtic defence and lash home. We said there'd be goals. 3 already. Dortmund 2, Celtic 1.
That's 3 in the space of about 12 minutes, as here is Vitinha running forward, the Portuguese international. Pacho goes square. Nuno Mendes, the left back, waits. There's a glaring hole there through the Arsenal defence, and they managed to find Desire Doué, who got his shot off and wasn't that far away, but I think it might have been actually offside.
Yeah, he was offside, about 5 or 6 yards offside. That was why he ended up with so much space. We're just seeing the replay. Yeah, probably 3-4 yards by the time the pass is played. More like 10 by the time he received the ball. So I think Saliba and Gabriel knew. I don't think there was any real panic about that situation.
Queen's Park Rangers 0, Hull City 1 is the latest score in the Championship. Rice in a central position, toe ends the ball. In the wet conditions, it slowly reaches Gabriel, back with Rice, drops in between the two central defenders. Fullbacks are pushed on. Timber on this near side has stayed out wide. Calafiore's gone into an inverted role, and all of a sudden Timber is allowed to run forward. He feeds it to Saka. Saka right corner of the area. Saka with a cross, curling towards the far post, and caught acrobatically by Donnarumma. What a boost to have him back in the side.
Yeah, for just such occasion. I mean, as Arsenal broke there again, good play from the back. They're taking not risks as such, but they're leaving themselves exposed slightly at the back to play these through balls, to get that advantage, to step into the PSG half, to get Saka on the corner of the penalty area as he was, cutting inside bodies in the penalty area. You can't just dangle it up, you can't just leave it for Donnarumma, who's excellent in that situation, to come and gobble the ball up and ease the pressure for PSG.
He's 6'5". He's still only 25. I mean, he'd made 251 appearances in 6 years at San Siro by the age of 22. As all of a sudden Paris Saint-Germain can venture forward. This is Lee, the South Korean. Now it's left with Vitinha. Combines with João Neves in the midfield there for Paris Saint-Germain. Arsenal have got everybody back behind the ball. Little touch from João Neves once again. Vitinha, he'll be quite happy just to sit there and probe and try and link it all together in the midfield. The Portuguese international. Trossard goes towards him. Vitinha strokes it back. Pacho under pressure. Tries to get the ball now to Zaire Emery, this 18-year-old French international. And they go back to Pacho, and now Marquinhos, the Paris Saint-Germain captain, will take over as Neves drops deep in that midfield. And they go back and across the back forward of Paris Saint-Germain. We're in Bergamo. It was a very cautious performance by Arsenal, but the onus here will be on Mikel Arteta's side to be a little bit more on the front foot.
Yeah, but I talked about balance. You can't just go and expose yourself to allow a very good, technically gifted PSG side to play through you. That's what Vitinha want, that's what João Neves want, the opportunity when people close down in ones and twos, leave spaces. So Arsenal are being patient at the moment, and when PSG have the ball under no pressure, they're not gambling in. But as you see at the moment, one sideways pass, and then you see 3 or 4 Arsenal players going at the same time. Unsuccessful there, give a free kick away on Mendes, I think it is, but you can see the game plan from Arsenal.
Yes, it was Saka with the foul on Nuno Mendes, and Slavko Vincic, the Slovenian referee who actually took charge of the Champions League final last year, gives that free kick. PSV are leading Sporting by 1-0. Sporting, who had an excellent start both domestically and in fact in Europe as well. They beat Lille by 2-0 in their opening game. Meanwhile, there's been another goal. Slovan Bratislava, Manchester City. Conor McNamara.
And another goal for Manchester City. They lead 2-0 already with only quarter of an hour played. Phil Foden slotting in the second, adding to Ilkay Gundogan's opener. Lovely finish this from Foden. He picks it up inside the penalty area. He passes it left-footed, curling beyond the despairing dive of the goalkeeper, right into the bottom of the net. Very sweet finish. Bratislava, who conceded 5 against Celtic last time in this competition, are 2-0 down to Manchester City already tonight.
Bristol Rovers 1, Charlton Athletic 0 is the latest score in League One. Raya hits the ball high downfield. Nobody will give chase. On BBC Online tonight on the website, we've got commentary of that rearranged League Cup tie. Newcastle United, Wimbledon. Keeping us up to date at St James's is Charlie Slater.
We've played half an hour. It's Newcastle 0, Wimbledon 0, but the Premier League side absolutely dominating as you'd expect. Harvey Barnes has gone close, as has Miguel Almiron, but so far can't find a breakthrough. 0-0.
Can't find a breakthrough here either at the moment. 17 minutes played. Arsenal 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0. And in fact, not really a chance to shout for either side.
No, I think both teams have been composed on the halfway line with possession of the ball. But I think both teams would also agree that they've been better out of possession so far tonight than they have been in possession. Both teams look very organised. Both teams have got good distances between players defensively. They're not really leaving themselves in any 1v1 situations. So it's going to take a little bit of quality, I think, maybe a bit of patience followed by a good bit of quality, maybe in the wide areas to start really opening up the opposition.
Well, Luis Enrique, the coach of Paris Saint-Germain, says Arsenal are one of the best teams in the world without the ball. Really has been fulsome in his praise for Mikel Arteta, as Luis Enrique comes up against him when he used to train with him as a youngster at Barcelona. Indeed, he actually scored in both appearances against Arsenal as a player, one of the finest midfielders for Barcelona back in his day. That was in 1999. He scored at home in a 1-1 draw, and then in a 2-0 win that was actually played at Wembley as Arsenal, with Timber out towards Saka. As the Paris Saint-Germain supporters continue to cheer, Havertz makes a darting run towards the penalty area, and in the near post he plays it towards the far post, and it was Hakimi who made the comfortable clearance in the end. Nobody was on the end of it.
Oh, it should be 1-0. There has to be somebody inside that 6-yard box there just to tap the ball into the back of the goal. It was good play from Arsenal, good bit of skill in the middle from Trossard, and then moving it into the wide area. Saka really hugging the touchline, took a touch inside. Kai Havertz did an overlap and run around him. Mendes didn't track it, and Havertz made it all the way to the 6-yard box. Coming in from the wide areas, passed it across that 6-yard box, but nobody in an Arsenal shirt there to tap it in.
Mendes did well, won the challenge against Saka. Saka's actually stayed down, he's on one knee at the moment. Let's look away towards our right. Now he's back, seems to be walking freely, still goalless here on 5 Live. As the ball is played by Partey to Timber, just short of the halfway line, as Arsenal in their red and white shirts play from left to right. Full house here at the Emirates, and the Arsenal supporters getting behind their side. Let's get an update from the Championship leaders, West Brom. Lee Blakeman.
West Brom 0, Middlesbrough 0. This game was stopped for several minutes though, Ian, because the assistant referee on this near side was taken ill. Medical staff from both clubs were on the scene very quickly to treat him. He's left the stadium on a stretcher. We wish him well.
With a cross, Havertz, get us on the end of it. Havertz with a header, and Arsenal get the breakthrough. Trossard bided his time, flighted ball in. Havertz got there before Donnarumma. Bravely, Arsenal lead by a 1-0.
Oh, it's an outstanding bit of play and a very brave header at the end of it from Kai Havertz. Arsenal's two best players so far have been Trossard and Havertz. They're both really coming off that front area at the top of the pitch and going into wide areas, and they can't be marked. They're picking up the ball in brilliant spaces. Trossard out on the left, there's a wonderful turn, skips away from, I think it was Zaire Emery on the far side of the pitch, and then once he's cut inside, he's looking for runners. Has anybody made the run? Kai Havertz was one of two. He came in from the opposite side of the field on the blind side of Pacho, who just couldn't see him coming, didn't know which way to look, and at the last moment he just skipped in behind him. Pacho didn't know he was there. Donnarumma could come out, because this time the cross is low. It's not up there in the air for Donnarumma to come and scoop up just at the right height for a very brave Kai Havertz to get there first, direct it into the back of the goal. Really good play from Arsenal.
We talk about that imposing figure of Donnarumma, 6'5". He's coming 10 yards off his goal line, and Havertz just only focused on the ball.
It's all about the ball. Talked earlier about Arsenal having bodies in the penalty area. Kaya Saka cutting in, and he just lofted it up there, and Donnarumma will eat those crosses up all day long. But that one there from Leandro Trossard, cut inside onto his right foot, and it's more of a whip. It's got a lower trajectory. There's nothing Donnarumma can really do except come and try and put Kai Havertz off in his attempt to go and win the header, but Havertz was brave enough, met it, kept his eyes open, kept his eyes on the ball, directed it past the goalkeeper. 1-0 Arsenal.
Bayer Leverkusen lead Milan by a 1-0 elsewhere in the Champions League. Harrogate 0, MK Dons 1 is the latest score in League 2, and also in that division Carlisle United 0, Notts County 2. And for Paris Saint-Germain now, they have conceded in each of their last 20 away games in the Champions League, since they kept a clean sheet away to Istanbul Başakşehir in October 2020. That's a statistic that Luis Enrique will certainly want to address if they're to make progress in this competition. But Arsenal lead by a 1-0, and Havertz with his 5th of the season. And all of a sudden, that really does suit Mikel Arteta's side, because Paris Saint-Germain are going to have to come onto them. It might just open the game up a bit.
Yeah, it should do. I mean, Arsenal very effective on the counter-attack as well, but what both teams, as I've just mentioned, have tried to do, they're keeping both sets of wide players really high and advanced. Two centres, two strikers both dropping off.
Martinelli now runs forward over that far side, the left. Two are up with him, Trossard and Saka. Havertz just outside the D. Paris Saint-Germain clear. It comes off the heels of Calafiore, and out it goes for a throw to Paris Saint-Germain, who trail as Chesterfield are back in front. Bromley 1, Chesterfield 2, and Luton Town have got a second goal at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town 2, Oxford United 0. That's in the Championship.
Yeah, so both sets of wide. So you see in front of us Barcola and Doué on the far side of the pitch. Lee has dropped all the way into midfield berth. It means Saliba and Gabriel have got nobody to mark. They don't know whether to step in. It's the same at the opposite side with Trossard and Havertz both stepping in. Marquinhos and Pacho not quite sure what to do. Well, Arsenal have had it a lot more comfortable in the opening 23 minutes in doing that than PSG have. Arsenal have still found a way to get bodies into the penalty area at the moment. PSG haven't found a way.
That's Leon Osman. 8 seasons he played with the Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta at Goodison Park. 23 minutes played, but Arsenal are looking very secure at the back. They're leading by a goal to 0. Cardiff City 1, Millwall 0 is the latest score in the Championship, and that Havertz goal is the difference here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Saliba passes the ball to Timber, and Timber back to David Raya, and Arteta says it's all right. Everything's under control. Hull City have got a second goal at Queen's Park Rangers. Queen's Park Rangers 0, Hull City 2. They're not afraid to go long either here tonight, are they, Arsenal?
No, I think I mentioned that, yes, you want to play out from the back, you want to have good possession playing through the thirds, but the ultimate goal is to get good possession inside the opposition's penalty area. There's no point in playing through a press if it's not really on, and Arsenal, I think, have tried to get the balance right so far if they are under real pressure, because this PSG team have come to try and press when they get the opportunity, and Arsenal aren't taking any risks.
Burton Albion, who are still yet to win in League One, have fallen behind. Reading 1, Burton Albion 0, Leyton Orient 0, Exeter 1. Their two latest scores in League One. This is the Champions League on 5 Live, where Arsenal are leading by a goal to 0. Borussia Dortmund leads Celtic 2-1, and Manchester City are 2-0 up away to Slovan Bratislava. There's the ball out from the back by Pacho. Lee is able to turn and then hits it low, pings it downfield, left-footed. Barcola's onto the end of this now. Enters the penalty area. Barcola. Timber did well. Timber stood up to him and then brings the ball out of defence. Superb defending by Jurrien Timber. Just when Barcola thought that maybe he'd had a sight of goal.
Oh, it was outstanding defending. There's a number of Arsenal fans that stood on their feet applauding the work of Jurrien Timber in that moment. Great play from Arsenal. I spoke about Lee dropping into spaces deep and Barcola staying right up. He gets turned, Lee plays a lovely pass in behind that Arsenal defence. Barcola picks it up on the corner, Arsenal's penalty area, drives inside. Looked for a moment like he'd beat Timber by dropping his shoulder, but just the outstretched toe of Timber just stopping the ball just in time. A wonderful piece of defending.
Cheltenham 0, Accrington Stanley 1 is the latest score in League 2. Accrington bottom of the table, yet to win, but are ahead there as Timber turns away from Lee. Partey's turn now to drop in between the two central defenders for Arsenal. They go quite wide, back to his goalkeeper David Raya, puts his right foot on the ball inside the Davies penalty area, and then plays a diagonal ball out towards Timber, beautifully brought down off his right thigh. Infield to Calafiore. That's the left back playing on the right hand side.
That's not a left back position. He's come so far across. He's passed both of Arsenal's holding midfield players, Rice and Partey, who we thought maybe Calafiore will step in and end up alongside one of them, allowing the other to push into advanced positions. But you'd think Calafiore's having a free roll tonight from left back. Certainly was in a position that was on offer back when I was playing.
Sunderland are leading Derby County by a goal to 0 at the Stadium of Lights in the Championship. We'll bring you news of that goal when we can. 27 minutes played. Arsenal are leading 1-0. Timber has a throw. Saka makes the run infield, but then loses out, and Neves passes the ball back to Pacho, the central defender, who strokes it back to Donnarumma. And now it's with Pacho. forward ball and gives it straight towards Timber. Barcola though nips in to win it back, and now here is Lee, and Lee will switch play out towards that far side to Doué, who heads it to Hakimi joining the attack. It went fractionally behind him, slowed him down. Back in field to Zaire Emery, and maybe now Paris Saint-Germain can get on the ball a little bit more as Neves passes the ball to Mendes down the line on this near side. But they're having to be patient. Arsenal have completely dropped off as the ball goes back. Let's go to Rob Law on Wearside.
Sunderland 1, Derby 0 with less than 5 minutes to go until half-time, and Joe Bellingham scoring a screamer from 20 yards out, rifled one into the top corner for his first goal of the Championship season. The lead that Sunderland fully deserve.
Mendes with a shot, just hits the base of the right-hand post. It was a left-footed curling effort, curling away from Raya, and that was closed by Paris Saint-Germain, their best effort.
Yeah, I was just about to say that Arsenal looked quite assured when PSG get the ball on the halfway line, just stepping into Arsenal's half. They're used to having to defend in those moments, and especially with PSG not having anyone as a striker, you think Arsenal would be alright in that situation, but it was a 1-2, something that is so hard to stop in football. As we said, Mendes just playing a 1-2 with Barcola, skipping inside, getting away from Bukayo Saka, and then took the shot on from distance. It was so close. It had David Raya scrambling to his left, full stretch. I don't think he was getting there had it been on target, but as you mentioned, just hit the outside of that post. Warning from PSG.
Very much so. Nuno Mendes only scored 3 goals in his 82 appearances since they signed him from Sporting 3 years ago. Signed him for £38 million after a loan spell. But that was certainly a warning to Arsenal, who lead by a goal to 0. Shrewsbury 0, Stockport County 1 is the latest score in League One as Rice charges through the midfield, can't pick out the pass to Saka. And Mendes was the one who gathered it back to Donnarumma.
Yeah, could probably have done with the form he's shown so far. Leandro Trossard being in that position, driving through the centre of PSG, because he just needed to keep going. Declan Rice, he only had one defender ahead of him. Bukayo Saka was just trying to time his run. He was just trying to be patient. He had Mendes who had to go inside to try and slow Rice down. He just completely timed it wrong, Declan Rice, and that's quite a big opportunity at this level, and they've allowed to just skip by.
Not turning into a good night for Celtic. They're now trailing by 3 goals to 1. Gavin Wallace.
And it's Adeyemi again, a corner, Ian, from one side to the other. Adeyemi manages to get the better of the Celtic defence and then beat Schmeichel on the near post from 14 yards out. Dortmund 3, Celtic 1.
There's been goals in every game in the Champions League matches tonight. Of course, on match day 1 it was spread out over 3 nights. We're back to Tuesday and Wednesday for Champions League action. Europa League on the Thursday as Paris Saint-Germain try and release Hakimi, who makes great ground over on that far side. It was a powerful storming run into towards the right hand side, and David Raya at his near post has flicked it behind for a corner kick.
Yeah, good save, an important one too. Just Bukayo Saka, just guilty, just losing the ball inside that PSG half again, and in a flash PSG inside the Arsenal penalty area. The blistering pace Hakimi showed there to, I think he gave Calafiori 15 yards and still managed to get inside the penalty area with the ball before the Arsenal left back trying to fire across, but good save.
Showing their quality now, Paris Saint-Germain in swinging corner from the far right hand side, headed away by Arsenal. Luton Town 2, Oxford United 1, so Oxford United have got a goal back there in the Championship. Here is Saliba, just flicks it down the line on this near side the right. Trossard, his forward ball goes straight towards Vitinha. Queen's Park Rangers have also got a goal back. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Hull City 2. Penalty at Newcastle, Charlie Slater.
And the noise around you should tell you that Fabian Schär has just put it into the back of the net. Newcastle lead against Wimbledon in stoppage time at the end of the first half from the penalty spot. Almiron fouled. Linesman and referee gave themselves an eternity to think about it. Eventually conspired to give a penalty. Schär converts 1-0 Newcastle.
Commentary, that's on BBC Online, the BBC Sport website. Walsall lead Fleetwood now 2-1 in League 2. As Paris Saint-Germain trailing by a goal to 0 here in the Champions League with 13 minutes to go to half-time. But they lose the ball as Declan Rice plays it back to Gabriel, picks out the England international on that side and plays it down the line, left-hand side to Martinelli. Trossard flicks it back. This is Calafiore coming forward now. He's overhit that and it goes away from a rather flat-footed Martinelli. Well, yes, it does go out of play. throw to Paris Saint-Germain?
Well, we know they can defend Arsenal, and we know they're quite comfortable without the ball, and they just seem okay with that at the moment, just to stay within their shape, to make sure they're not giving any real big opportunity away. But that's just going to encourage PSG. We're starting to see them just have a bit more of the ball. The territory they have in the ball is now becoming more and more advanced inside the Arsenal half. Arsenal just need to regain possession for 5 minutes or so.
Zaire Emery coming forward, the young French international, but Gabriel came from behind him and then just marshalled the ball safely out for a goal kick, whips up the crowd who respond. Certainly they were thrilled to see that, what looked like effortless defending from Gabriel.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, he is so strong, but it was the manner in which he read, I'll say, your enemy was trying to do before, just stepping across and making sure he wasn't going to get the ball back. You're not getting past me. I'm going to earn my team a goal kick, relieve the pressure. But again, Arsenal starting to play out just a little bit sloppy in possession.
That's Leon Osman, the former England international, who's with us here tonight on BBC Radio 5 Live. Harrogate 0, MK Dons 2, a latest score in League 2. Arsenal leading by 1-0. Manchester City still 2-0 up in Bratislava. Borussia Dortmund leads Celtic by 3-1. As this is Saliba. Saliba finds Partey on the edge of the centre circle. Nice little ball forward to Trossard, about 10 yards in distance, a diagonal pass. Now it's with Saka, running on his toes on this near side the right, can't get past Nuno Mendes, who slips but quickly back to his feet, and then Saka was pushed over, surely. Free kick to Arsenal.
Yeah, he did well to win that set piece there. Saka tried to run at Mendes initially, had no joy, managed to win the ball back and just sucked Mendes into just being a bit too tight, a bit too naive in his attempt to go get the ball. Saka happy to go down, take the set piece, but again, just before that, the main piece was the position that Trossard is managing to pick up on the far side for the majority of this 34 minutes, but he's started to find a few pockets closer to Bukayo Saka.
So Saka waits, almost level with the penalty area on the right hand side, as Arsenal play from left to right, leading by 1-0. Barcelona 2, Young Boys 0 is the latest score in the Champions League. Harrogate 0, MK Dons 3. You're up to date with the goals as they go in. So this is on the right hand side. There must be at least 4 Arsenal players that have gathered on that far side of the penalty area. Saka waits patiently. Now they make a run. A cluster of them. Saka hits it in low. Martinelli gets the flick and it goes all the way through. Arsenal always cause problems at set pieces, and the Paris Saint-Germain defence didn't know what to deal with a run. Whether Martinelli got the flick or it was just enough to deceive them, they're going to Saka for the congratulations, but Arsenal have increased their lead 10 minutes before half-time, 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2-0 to Arsenal. It's a direct free kick from Bukayo Saka that misses absolutely everybody. And whether that was by design or whether he just didn't quite catch it as sweetly as he probably should have done. We're just seeing a replay now. I think there's an outside chance Partey was in an offside position. Whether they say he was deeming in play, we'll soon see. But yeah, Arsenal start at the back post like they tend to do on a lot of set pieces. In doing so, as Saka's about to take the set piece, they all dart across the front post in around areas. Everybody missed it, and there was nothing Donnarumma could really do about it. My question was, in the moment that somebody went for the ball, I think it was Martinelli, everybody missed it. It was Thomas Partey in an offside position, but he clearly missed the ball, so everything's okay. Arsenal 2-0.
And the fact that, VAR as a matter of course would have had a look at it, but we're already back underway. Arsenal leading now by 2-0. It's amazing that 3 players who all made that run towards the near post, Martinelli, Partey, I think Timber might have been the other, none of them could get a touch. However, they did enough to put off the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, if you fire one inside the width of the goal and you get bodies running across, everybody misses it. Usually the goalkeeper is expected to probably have a bit of patience and keep his eye on the ball, but as we said, there was 3 bodies, not one, and he just lost sight of the ball. He couldn't tell where it was, and the moment you see him in the replay, when he does realise where it is, it's just too close to him for him to react, and it sails by him. But as I said, I've seen Bukayo Saka hit a lot better free kicks I'm not completely convinced he didn't scuff that a little bit, but he won't care, and neither will Arsenal, because it's put them 2-0 ahead.
And Bukayo Saka has now wrestled the ball away from Mendes, and Arsenal now have their tails up. Havertz to Partey, 25 yards out from goal. About 6-8 yards in from the right touchline. Saka tries to enter the penalty area now on this right-hand side. But there was Pacho to stop him, helped out by João Neves. And Neves now plays it forward, but Arsenal have won it back. They've done well on this right-hand side. Partey to Trossard. Trossard trying to get away from Neves. And it goes out of play for an Arsenal throw. Looking to extend this unbeaten run under Mikel Arteta. 14 games undefeated. It's his best run as an Arsenal manager. And they're playing with a lot of confidence here as the throw from the right, taken in by Saka. Saka waiting, looking to deliver the cross to Solo, and Trossard almost on the end of it.
Well, I think he was on the end of it. I just don't think he made the desired contact. And now Arsenal are now camped in this PSG final third inside the penalty area. They've scored the second goal. The crowd are behind. PSG have given the ball away 2 or 3 occasions since that second goal, deep inside their own final third. So you just look at the clock, you look at the moment, you look at the momentum, and you think if Arsenal could just use this momentum now to get that third goal just before half time, you'd probably think that that'll be enough to win the game.
Mind you, here at the weekend when they were 2-0 up against Leicester City and it looked a formality, we were saying, oh yeah, game over, and then obviously Leicester City produced a bit of a scare for Arsenal. Barcelona 3, Young Boys 0 is the latest score in the Champions League. Half-time at Sunderland, Rob Law.
Sunderland have dominated the first half. They lead by a goal to 0, and it came 5 minutes before the break through Joe Bellingham, who powered an effort into the top corner 20 yards out. Derby have looked dangerous in spells, but Sunderland deserve the lead. They lead by a goal to 0 at the break.
And half-time at Newcastle, Charlie Slater.
Where it's Newcastle 1, Wimbledon 0, stoppage time penalty the difference. Almiron down inside the box. 5 seconds went by before eventually the assistant flagged for a penalty. Fabian Schär sent the keeper the wrong way. Newcastle ahead 1-0 at the break.
Commentary of that for the second half will be on the BBC Sport website. The winners will be at home to Chelsea in round 4. 2-0 to Arsenal, 5 minutes to go to half-time. Leon Osman.
Yeah, as I said, Arsenal have really got this PSG team just on the ropes. Again, PSG forced into giving the ball away. You just mentioned about 2 goals Arsenal, yes, certainly conceded from, but you just think if they can make it 3, if you can get that third goal before half-time, if you can really force the issue here, then it's an incredibly big hill to have to climb in the second half for any PSG team.
Saka down the right touchline, finds Havertz. Saka goes on ahead of him. Havertz finds him, comes inside the penalty area from a sliding challenge away from Zaire Emery. Arsenal again lost it, but they win it back quickly. Back towards Saka from Trossard, couldn't offside. Coming back from an offside position. Arsenal's desire levels to win the ball back have been terrific tonight.
Yeah, and they're pairing at the minute, literally enjoying themselves. They've spent the last probably 10 minutes or so inside the PSG half. The fans are certainly right behind the team at the moment, and just for a moment there I thought Bukayo Saka had just skipped by Zaire Emery. Well, maybe he might win a penalty kick, maybe he'd get through 1-on-1 with Donnarumma. Fine margins at this level.
Borussia Dortmund 4, Celtic 1 is a latest score in the Westfalenstadion. Watching is Gavin Wallace.
Yes, Serhou Guirassy from the spot. Ian Schmeichel not far away from getting it, but it was Arne Engels who tackled Adeyemi. His foot just hit the other foot. It was really, really soft. But Dortmund 4, Celtic 1.
Hakimi pops up on the left-hand side. Back to Neves. Pacho inside the centre circle now for Vitinha to take over. And now the ball to Zaire Emery, but he loses it in the midfield. No, he doesn't actually. He hangs on to it right at the last minute, right corner of the area, floats the ball forward and gathered by Raya, who catches it and then dives forward under no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder who he was crossing the ball to as well, because, yeah, I mean, PSG have really not had anybody inside Arsenal's penalty area. They've not had anybody occupying Arsenal's 2 centre halves as he's crossing the ball. Got Barcola on the far side. Doué had actually come over as well. Neither player really in a position to go and threaten had that ball been delivered inside the Arsenal penalty area.
Raya, all in yellow, goes long downfield. Marquinhos will head it away for Paris Saint-Germain, picked up by Trossard, nicks it into the path of Saka with his back to goal midway through the Paris Saint-Germain half, pursued by Lee, fouled by Lee, and that will be a free kick to Arsenal. Clips his heels. Borussia Dortmund have got a fifth. Reading 2, Burton Albion 0. Now what's happened here whilst I was looking at the old video printer?
Well, I thought that should have been a yellow card. I thought Lee just really did hack at the back at Bukayo Saka, and then I think one of the PSG players just kicked the ball away, and we all know the situation and the drama that's caused with Arsenal players doing so in the Premier League over the last couple of weekends. I think there was raised emotions there.
Slavko Vincic didn't take any action as Saka waits to take this free kick for Arsenal. Paris Saint-Germain have got a really high line to try and give as much protection to Donnarumma from Arsenal's threat at set pieces. They must be over 25 yards out from goal, this line of Paris Saint-Germain, and at the moment you've got 4 Arsenal players currently standing in an offside position. Rice and Saka wait to take it. Partey's been budged away off the ball by Barcola. Martinelli's just been down on one knee as well. So Saka and Rice wait to take this free kick, leading by 2-0. In the end, it's now taken short. Touch back to Saka, curls it in, long way, curls all the way through, out for a goal kick. 2 minutes to go to half-time. Arsenal lead 2-0. Gavin Wallace with that 5th Dortmund goal.
Adeyemi's on a hat-trick now, Ian. It's really poor. Maeda and McGregor don't talk at the back. Adeyemi steps in, takes a step off to the left, and with his left foot slots it into the opposite corner. Schmeichel no chance. Dortmund 5, Celtic 1.
Saka incidentally was credited with that second goal, despite the best efforts of 3 of his teammates to get on the end of it. There's a stream of Arsenal supporters just away towards our left, filed towards the concourse for their half-time refreshments as we look to that left-hand side Paris Saint-Germain attack.
The refreshments must be wonderful here, the speed at which these Arsenal fans are moving towards them.
You fancy joining the
Yes, I do,
queue? Here is Vitinha waiting inside the last 60 seconds then for what has been a very good half for Arsenal. Has been the odd scare when you think that Nuno Mendes did hit the post and Raya had to make that save at his near post. Here is Vitinha, passes the ball square, and now Marquinhos out towards Hakimi on the far side with his pace, looks to accelerate, and his cross is gathered in by David Raya. But by and large they've protected David Raya well.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned the chances, but they were either from Arsenal giving the ball away, Bukayo Saka on the edge of the penalty area, a counter-attack in one moment, and Arsenal, other than that, have been quite composed. They've been quite assured. They've not really been threatened. You just think that this team could probably produce a moment of individual magic. They just have to be wary of that, but up to now Arsenal have been comfortable.
Raya goes long. Marquinhos deals with the presence of Havertz. The ball is played now to Nuno Mendes, the left back. We'll find out how much stoppage time we're into, and we've just got the additional 60 seconds here on BBC Radio 5 Live, also available on the BBC Sounds app for the first of 3 consecutive nights of European action. Villa Park tomorrow, Aston Villa against Bayern Munich, Porto Manchester United on Thursday night, live from the Estadio Dragao. As here now is Mendes to come forward, holds off Rice, comes on the inside of Rice, who's back goal side. Zaire Emery, left-hand side, looking for the return run of Nuno Mendes, but too far ahead of him. And once again, Arsenal defending that superbly. And that should be it for the first half.
Yeah, it should. That's what I expected to see more from Paris Saint-Germain, with the technically gifted players in the middle of the pitch. Not great in stature physically compared to the Arsenal team, but passing at tempo, runs in behind, getting bodies into good positions, and they nearly did find something there. And I expect that once Luis Enrique's spoken to them at half-time, that's the kind of performance we'll see more from PSG in the second half.
They've reached half-time in Bratislava. Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2. So Pep Guardiola's side are well placed, and we've reached half-time here at the Emirates, and it's also 2-0. Havertz with a brave header after 20 minutes on the end of a Trossard ball forward, and then Saka's free kick going all the way through 15 minutes later. Leon Osman.
Yeah, very good first half for Arsenal. I think they've found themselves in a brilliant position. I don't think they've had to expose themselves in finding this 2-0 goal lead. I don't think they'd have to have overlapping full-backs and really put the pressure. They've just shown real quality in real moments. They've had a good tactical awareness. What Mikel Arteta has done in the position of Trossard, getting him either side of this PSG midfield, picking up brilliant possession of the ball, has been key in that first half, and they've took their chances when they've come along. So I think they'll be really pleased with how that first half's gone.
They certainly will. Arsenal 2, Paris Saint-Germain 0. Kelly.
Deno, thank you very much for that. Leon, that second goal from Arsenal, yes, it's another set piece, and we know they're brilliant from set pieces, but that was on the more unusual side, wasn't it?
Well, as you said, Arsenal scoring from a set piece isn't unusual. Even the way they lined up, the free kick is on the near side and on the right-hand side of the attack, right near the touchline for Arsenal. And as is now accustomed, Arsenal's entire team seems to line up on the far side of the penalty area. No one anywhere near that line, that defensive line of PSG, who are obviously spread out across, probably I think they were about 12 yards out. Just as Saka's about to take the set piece, they all come running in, as you'd expect, to try and get on the end of a quality cross, but it wasn't. I'm pretty sure Saka scuffed it, but because of the movement, because of the panic from those PSG players of not knowing who they're up against, not knowing when the player is from Arsenal is going to come and get across them, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it just took for Martinelli to jump over the ball and Partey to miss the ball, and suddenly Donnarumma just didn't really give himself an opportunity to make the save. So yes, it was unusual in the fact that I think Bukayo Saka will hit better ones and Arsenal's set pieces will look a lot prettier on the eye, but it was just as effective as any other, and it gave them the second goal, which has been important in the game.
Leon, thanks very much for now. Leon Osman and Ian Dennis are at the Emirates for Arsenal against PSG, and it's been relatively straightforward for Arsenal so far. They have that 2-goal advantage at the break. Meanwhile, relatively straightforward for Manchester City as well. Conor McNamara is watching them.
Absolutely. Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2. Ilkay Gundogan's deflected shot gave City the lead after 8 minutes. The German's first goal since returning to the club from Barcelona. Overall, it's the 12th Champions League goal of his career. Phil Foden delivered City's second, guided low into the bottom corner. And just to emphasise how one-sided this has been, City, since going 2-0 up, have hit the frame of the goal 3 times. Foden, Doku and Gundogan all either hitting the post or the crossbar, so no exaggeration to say this could be 5-0. It's Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 2 at the break.
Conor, thank you very much. Gavin Wallace said before kick-off in the game between Borussia Dortmund and Celtic that it was going to be eventful, but maybe not the way Celtic would have wanted tonight, Gavin.
Absolutely not, no. Dortmund 5, Celtic 1. A very humbling and sobering opening 45 for Celtic. Karim Adeyemi is the one grabbing all the headlines with a hat-trick in the opening 45. Emre Can with a penalty that went straight down the middle as Gittins was upended by Schmeichel, and Siru Guirassy also with a penalty 5 minutes before half-time. Celtic really exposed, and it's damage limitation in the next 45. Dortmund 5, Celtic 1.
Gavin, thank you very much for that. So that's us up to date with the British sides in Champions League action tonight. John Bennett is across everything else. John.
And Barcelona are well on their way to their first Champions League win of the season. Barcelona 3, Young Boys 0. Robert Lewandowski tapping in his 95th Champions League goal. Then Rafinha and Inigo Martinez scored 2 goals in 3 minutes. It's Inter 1, Red Star Belgrade 0. Hakan Çalhanoğlu proving yet again he's one of the best free kick takers in the world. Surprisingly, Bayer Leverkusen 0, AC Milan 0. Victor Boniface had a goal disallowed for the German side. And PSV 1, Sporting 0. A goal of the night contender from the Dutch international Jordi Schouten, an effort from 25 yards out.
John, thank you very much for that. So we're across everything that's happening in the Champions League this evening and in the EFL Cup and the Championship. But after Iran's missile attacks on Israel tonight, we have an extended news summary. Here's Nick Bright.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kelly. Nick Bright and Nick Hatfield here with the latest on the situation in the Middle East. Sirens sounding in Israel earlier as Iran launched dozens of missiles into the country. Nick Hatfield has the details.
Okay, Nick, yes, Israel says around 180 missiles were fired from Iran. Explosions lit up the night skies above Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as the rockets were shot down by the Iron Dome missile defense system. Israel says the attack has now stopped and it's not aware of any casualties. Dina Kraft is Israel correspondent for Christian Science Monitor and is in Tel Aviv. She spoke to 5 Live as the missiles were launched.
So in my apartment building, I'm just outside the door of my shelter here, where I was gathered with about 30 neighbors, including dogs and babies and little children, when the sirens went off. And this time, an unusual move. We didn't just hear the sirens. We all got on our phone this very, very loud alert saying, go to shelter immediately, go to shelter immediately.
Well, the BBC's Nick Beak is in northern Israel tonight. Nick, what's the situation where you are?
Well, Nick, we're right at the top of the country, right in the north of Israel, and not far from the Lebanon border. And you might be able to hear every now and then the occasional boom of what we presume is outgoing Israeli fire. But a few hours ago, we looked up and saw a different scene because there were missiles coming over, the distinctive sort of orange glow of these missiles. Then we saw that some of them were intercepted by the Israeli defense system kicking in, others continuing on their path further into this country, further towards central Israel. Pretty soon after that, there was a siren showing that there was an alert for this particular region. So, like in so many places across Israel this evening, people ran to shelters and stayed there until the coast was clear. So for a lot of people, a really worrying evening here.
Yeah, and the Israeli government saying that no, if any, casualties at all, but very few, they think. So it looks like this Iron Dome defence system has worked, Nick.
Well, yeah, tonight the Israelis are saying that with the help of their American partners, they were able to thwart this Iranian attack, some 180 missiles, and these were ballistic missiles that were sent, so not a huge amount of time for people to prepare for them. But the Israeli government saying that they were able to combat this threat, talking about really there being no casualties, and in the same breath vowing that there will be a strong response. And according to the chief Israeli military spokesman, he says the Israeli Air Force will strike powerfully in the Middle East tonight. So it doesn't look like the Israelis will be contemplating their next step. It seems like they've either made a decision or they'll be making it in the coming hours and will then respond accordingly. They're also saying that what Iran has done tonight will certainly have consequences, but they've accused Iran of pushing the Middle East to an escalation, so really taking things to another level. What we know, of course, is that that's been a charge levelled at Israel itself over the past couple of weeks with this enhanced, intensified attack on Hezbollah.
Thank you very much, Nick. That's Nick Beak in northern Israel tonight. We're going to get the views of Frank Gardner on how Israel might respond shortly. But earlier, the US said that Iran had been planning an attack before these missiles were launched. There has been a briefing from the White House in the last hour. Is the US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
Today, Iran launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles towards targets in Israel. The United States military coordinated closely with the Israeli Defense Forces to help defend Israel against this attack. U.S. naval destroyers joined Israeli air defense units in firing interceptors to shoot down inbound missiles. President Biden and Vice President Harris monitored the attack and the response from the White House Situation Room, joined in person and remotely by their national security team. We are still working with the IDF and the authorities in Israel to assess the impact of the attack. But at this time, and I stress at this time, we do not know of any deaths in Israel. We are tracking the reported death of a Palestinian civilian in Jericho in the West Bank. We do not know of any damage to aircraft or strategic military assets in Israel. In short, based on what we know at this point, this attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. This was first and foremost the result of the professionalism of the IDF, but in no small part because of the skilled work of the U.S. military and meticulous joint planning in anticipation of the attack. We are also aware of reports of a terrorist attack in Jaffa that took the lives of a number of Israeli civilians and wounded several others today. Our condolences go out to the families of the victims and to the family of the Palestinian civilian in Jericho. We will consult with the Israelis on next steps in terms of the response and how to deal with what Iran has just done, and we will continue to monitor for further threats and attacks from Iran and its proxies.
That's the US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan there. And in the last few minutes, we've also heard from the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer.
I utterly condemn this attempt by the Iranian regime to harm innocent Israelis, to escalate this incredibly dangerous situation and push the region ever closer to the brink. It cannot be tolerated. We stand with Israel and we recognise her right to self-defence in the face of this aggression. Iran must stop these attacks, together with its proxies like Hezbollah. Iran has menaced the Middle East for far too long. Chaos and destruction brought not just to Israel, but to the people they live amongst in Lebanon and beyond. Make no mistake, Britain stands full square against such violence. We support Israel's reasonable demand for the security of its people. I've spoken today to Prime Minister Netanyahu, the King of Jordan, President Macron, and Chancellor Scholz. In the last week, I've also spoken to other leaders, including Prime Minister McCarthy of Lebanon, President Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority, to try to find the space for a political solution to the conflicts in Lebanon and Gaza. Because I am deeply concerned that the region is on the brink, and I'm deeply concerned about the risk of miscalculation. The situation in Lebanon is increasingly grave. I want to repeat my advice to British nationals who are still in Lebanon. You must leave now. You should register your presence with government officials on our website. We have a chartered flight, and we're doing everything we can to get people out. But the situation is extremely volatile. So if you have the means to leave, the time is now. Do not wait.
Well, the Iranian government says the missile attack is in response to the assassination of Hamas and Hezbollah leaders and for the killing of Lebanese and Palestinian people, and warned of more to come if Israel retaliates. The big question is, how will Israel respond? Let's get the analysis of our security correspondent, Frank Gardner.
It's really serious because, as sure as night follows day, Israel is going to retaliate to this, regardless of how many missiles hit their target or don't. And we're seeing a lot of interceptions. Every time you see an explosion in the sky on the live pictures, that is Israel's Iron Dome air defense system activating, going up there, meeting those missiles as they come in. Iran, it appears, has launched dozens, not hundreds so far, but dozens of missiles directly at Israel. A smaller amount than it did in April, but nevertheless a direct attack. This is only the second time in its history that it has done this directly, as opposed to using proxies like Hezbollah or Hamas or the Houthis. The last time it did this, in April, there was a fairly restrained retaliation by Israel, because Iran's actions were in turn a retaliation for Israel's airstrike on Iran's consulate in Damascus that killed several members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps. But there was a huge concerted diplomatic effort on Israel saying, please, please don't overreact to this. Just, do something symbolic. And it did. It carried out a small attack on a facility near Isfahan, showing Iran that it could penetrate its air defences, but not causing a lot of damage.
Frank Gardner there. Earlier, Israeli forces carried out air and ground raids into southern Lebanon. They urged residents of dozens of villages to leave their homes. They also revealed they'd been carrying out cross-border operations in southern Lebanon for months. And in a separate incident in Tel Aviv, at least 6 people have been killed in a shooting. Israeli police say 2 gunmen opened fire at people on a city street.
Thanks very much, Nick. That is it for now, but we'll be back on air with the very latest straight after the football, so make sure you join us. But if you want to keep across events right now, you can go to the live channel over on BBC Sounds. Kelly.
Nick, thank you very much for that. In the meantime, here on 5 Live, we're going to head back to the Emirates for the second half of Arsenal against PSG on match day 2 of this season's Champions League. Arsenal have a 2-0 advantage as we head into the second half, and taking you through it, Leon Osman and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Lady Kelly. Paris Saint-Germain are out. They're not making any changes at half-time, but Arsenal have made a change. And Jakub Kiwior is the player who has come on, and it's Jurrien Timber who has gone off. Meanwhile, there's been a goal at the Stadium of Light. Rob Law.
Their lead, they're 2-0 up now against Derby County. Romain Mundle down the left-hand side. Low cross into Wilson Isidore to tap in from 6 yards. Sunderland 2, Derby 0 with 56 minutes on the clock.
Luton Town 2, Oxford United 2 is the latest score in the Championship. Barnsley have equalised at home to Wycombe, that's in League 1. Tranmere 1, Swindon 1, Walsall 2, Fleetwood 2. So Fleetwood with an equaliser at the Bescott Stadium. Coventry City now lead Blackburn by 2-0. That could be the end of their unbeaten start to the season for John Eustace's side. Wigan lead Peterborough 2-0, and it's Bromley 2, Chesterfield 2, Barnsley 0, Wycombe 1. So you're up to date with the goals that have been scored early on in the other games on what is a busy night of Football League action. BBC Radio 5 Live and also on the BBC Sounds app, as Arsenal in their red and white shirts and white shorts, playing from right to left as we look, are attacking there from right to left. And I'll give you the two teams in a moment, as Kiwior is playing as a left back and Calafiore is the one who's switched to right back. So Raya in goal, Calafiore, Saliba, Gabriel and Kiwior, Partey, Rice and Havertz, Saka, Trossard and Martinelli. And Paris Saint-Germain in their all navy with that broad red stripe going through the middle, vertical stripe through the middle of their shirts. Donnarumma in goal, back four of Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho and Mendes, Zaire Emery, Vitinha and Neves, Doué, Lee and Barcola. In fact, Fleetwood are now leading 3-2 at Walsall, and Bristol Rovers are 2-0 up against Charlton. So really, from an Arsenal point of view, there was a bounce of the ball, actually beats Calafiore, and Barcola pulls it back. Hakimi might get on the end of it, runs over the ball, and Declan Rice can bring it away. They conceded early against Leicester. It's just their game management now.
Yeah, and Calafiore there just in chase and back, and as we mentioned, he's now over on that right hand side defensively up against Barcola. Long ball over the top, and he just lost his concentration for a moment, missed the ball. Barcola got it, stepped inside that Arsenal penalty area, and for a moment I thought he was going to give a penalty kick away. So yeah, it's a different role for him in the second half, but he's going to be tested.
Vitinha darts forward, links up with Lee, ball goes back to Zaire Emery. Now the South Korean Lee takes over once again, somebody who they signed from Mallorca in 2023, previous at Valencia. 30 caps for South Korea. He's very experienced. He's actually already played in 4 different positions across the front for Paris Saint-Germain this season, as Bolton Wanderers have got a third at Sixfields. Northampton Town 0, Bolton 3 is the latest score in League One. Hakimi seeing a lot of the ball, Paris Saint-Germain, in the early stages of this second half here on 5 Live. João Neves squares it, Marquinhos, they've committed everybody forward, every outfield player in the Arsenal half. Out to this near side, Lee curls it left-footed and cleared by Calafiore. Left-footed clearance as it dropped around knee height, and there's a Paris Saint-Germain player who's gone down. I think it's João Neves who's picked up a bit of a knock here, and it'll be a Paris Saint-Germain free kick. In fact, it's Vitinha, central position, midway through the Arsenal half.
Yeah, Paris Saint-Germain have started this second half much better than Arsenal have. As you said, they've took control of the ball, they're forcing Arsenal backwards, they've not really threatened. I mean, they just tried to cross the ball, which was more than they really tried in the first half. Did have bodies in there. I don't think the stature of the players attacking it in João Neves, Vitinha and Lee are the type of players that Gabriel and Saliba will be too concerned about. But you can't keep allowing a team as good as PSG to keep possession of the ball in your third, delivering crosses in, because eventually with their quality they will find their target.
Their supporters have been brilliant tonight. They've been singing incessantly, and they're still making a lot of noise despite their side trailing by 2-0. They might be buoyed by the fact that they've actually scored in each of their last 51 group stage / league phase games in the Champions League, all the way back to when they drew a blank against Real Madrid some 9 years ago. Although the days of Messi and Neymar and Mbappe are now behind them, still do have a talented group of players, Paris Saint-Germain, who started well. They're unbeaten in 10 since they lost to Toulouse at home back in May, as they look for a way back into this game here in North London. It's a lot to expect Celtic to get anything back into that game in Dortmund. Gavin Wallace.
Excuse me, Ian, yeah, it might be. But the good thing for them is Adeyemi's just went off. I suspect it might be a hamstring or something. He's been replaced by the Belgian international, Duranville. But he's got such a big impact on that first half. Dortmund 5, Celtic 1.
I'd suggest a glass of water, and I hope the voice recovers, Gavin. As Birmingham City lead Huddersfield Town by a goal to nil. Birmingham, leaders of League One, still unbeaten, 1-0 up. Port Vale 1, Colchester United 0 is the latest score in League Two. Now Arsenal were breaking whilst we were away with Gavin. The referee had spotted an infringement and brought play back for a free kick to Paris.
Yeah, I mean, Bukayo Saka just touched the pole and it ricocheted up into his arm. It did hit his arm, but the referee took an age. Saka had took the ball down, took about 4 or 5 more touches, was driving forward before the referee actually brought the decision back.
Strong run by Declan Rice down the left touchline. I thought he'd actually run out of playing surface, but he was teetering down the touchline on this near side to left. He actually thought that he'd got a corner kick, but the referee, Slavko Vincic, thinks otherwise and has said a goal kick. But it was a wonderful run of strength and poise and balance.
Yeah, he was just holding 2 PSG players off. Zaire Emery, I think it was Vitinha, as if they were at a different level to him.
Havertz flicks it forward, and Martinelli with a volley left-footed straight at Donnarumma. Could easily have been a third.
Should have been a third. Left foot volley, caught it sweetly, 12, maybe 13 yards out, centre of the goal, and he hit it really well, to be fair to him. Martinelli, good play again from Arsenal, good pressure, winning the ball in advanced areas, putting that PSG defensive line under pressure. But if you get an effort from there, you expect to see it hit the back of the goal. Donnarumma's a fantastic goalkeeper, and he made a wonderful save, but he shouldn't have been given the opportunity to make that save on that occasion.
A reminder, Champions League final score is available on the red button and the iPlayer. See all the goals on the video printer as they go in on this busy night, both in Europe and domestically. And the Champions League highlights are on BBC One tomorrow, 10:40, to see all the goals during match day 2 of this new league phase. Vitinha in possession for Paris Saint-Germain. Diagonal forward ball finds Lee, able to turn, lifts it out towards Nuno Mendes far side, low ball into the penalty area, and Rice manages to clear as Barcelona have got a 4th goal. Barcelona 4, Young Boys 0, so they conceded 3 against Aston Villa, and Barcelona have now put 4 past them, and Leeds United have got an equaliser at Carrow Road in the Championship. Back-to-back wins, lying 5th in the table. Norwich 1, Leeds United 1. But noticeable that Paris Saint-Germain here are seeing a lot more of the ball this second half.
Yeah, they are, and I think they feel encouraged. They've got bodies central. Barcola seems to have gone right through the middle. I don't know if Doué's gone out to that left-hand side. I'll just keep an eye on that one. Maybe they've changed the shape slightly. I just think that Martinelli chance, though. This is a team growing in confidence in the second half, PSG, but that would have killed the game. And have come out, shown a bit second half, and then concede a third. That could have been game over. But at the moment, they're looking sharp.
The referee has given a free kick in favour of Arsenal. Kivior, it's Trossard who's actually down, isn't it? He's rubbing furiously his left leg. Kivior wanted play to continue. Luis Enrique not impressed whatsoever for actually what is his 50th game in UEFA competition as a head coach. His first was for Roma some 13 years ago. Doesn't look like it's going to be a winning night for him. He's still chuntering away to himself and pointing with an accusing finger in the direction of the referee as Trossard is back on his feet, but he's still feeling that knock to the left leg.
Yeah, it's his left knee he's holding. There was some contact on the outside of his left knee as he had his leg planted, and you can never be too sure when it comes to joints. Knocks on, and whether it can just be a knock or something more. So, Mikel Arteta will be keeping a close eye on that. He's had a good game, Trossard. Been involved in all of the best bits of play, as he was for that Martinelli chance moments ago.
Cheltenham 1, Accrington Stanley 1 is the latest score in League 2. As Trossard wins a ball on the edge of the Paris Saint-Germain penalty area. Wasn't kept in play. It'll gone behind for a goal kick that Donnarumma looks to take. Cheltenham 1, Accrington 1 is the latest score in League 2. We'll get an update from the Hawthorns now. Lee Blakeman.
West Brom 0, Middlesbrough 0, just underway in the second half after Middlesbrough dominated the first with a string of good chances, especially for Finn Azaz. It's West Brom 0, Middlesbrough 0.
Thanks, Lee. No other goals to tell you about. Mistake by Zaire Emery. Martinelli with the cross from the left-hand side comes off the chest of Marquinhos. And it's an Arsenal corner kick as they lead 2-0 10 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, good pressure from Arsenal. They're much better at that second half, being prepared to be brave and press PSG as soon as Donnarumma plays the ball out from the back, and they've been getting some rewards in this second half. Martinelli chance moments ago came from just such occasion. That time driving inside the penalty area again, Martinelli on this left-hand side after Declan Rice won the ball back. Really positive in the way they're going about pressurising this PSG team.
Now they've already scored with a direct free kick. We know the threat that they present from set pieces. It's a corner kick near side the left. There are 4 Arsenal players running in from that far post now. As the corner comes in from the left-hand side and it's gathered in by Donnarumma. And Nicolas Joba, the set-piece coach, slaps his hands down on both thighs in frustration. Counter-attack maybe for Paris Saint-Germain, with the ball from the outside of the boot over on that right-hand side, goes straight through to David Raya. Bayer Leverkusen are leading Milan by a goal to 0. I'll be honest with you, I thought they'd scored earlier, but it must have been ruled out through VAR. But Leverkusen 1, Milan 0 is a latest score. Cheltenham 1, Accrington 1, Walsall 2, Fleetwood Town 4. As the ball is cleared away by Gabriel to Calafiore. Shown his versatility tonight, hasn't he, Calafiore?
Well, he played a free role basically when he was left back, and he seems to still be playing that now he's moved over to right back. He's popping up everywhere.
Now all of a sudden, strong run from Mendes, and unable to pick out Desire Dure, who's only 19 years of age, this French forward who's actually yet to score for Paris Saint-Germain since they signed him from Rennes in the summer. He rejected an offer to go to Bayern Munich. But at times you feel as if his inexperience has just proved a little bit costly at times for him. Manchester City have got a third in Bratislava, Erling Haaland. News of that to come. Here though is Saka meanwhile. Declan Rice collects it, helps it on to Martinelli. Martinelli left-hand side of the penalty area, left-footed cross. Waiting is Havertz with a downward header and smothered by Donnarumma at the floor.
Yeah, it was a difficult one that for Kai Havertz. Martinelli floated one up to the far post and a nice ball to the back post, but it lacked any kind of power and he was backing into it. Made that save easy for Donnarumma, but PSG in the second half have had 2 opportunities now to counter-attack. They're leaving bodies up front. When Arsenal attack, they're leaving 2 players right on the halfway line in a position. If Donnarumma wins the ball, he can get the ball out to him quickly. And took a brilliant tackle there. I think it was from Saliba to thwart that one.
Paris Saint-Germain are certainly showing a lot more with the ball, the possession that they're keeping, and forcing Arsenal back in this second half. Lincoln City are down to 10 men. Adam Jackson's been sent off, but it's still Blackpool 0, Lincoln 0. Steve Bruce looking for a 5th successive win. That a run that has propelled them up the table in League One, as Vitinha curls it out towards Hakimi. Midway through the Arsenal half on this near side the right. Martinelli waits, looks it inside to Lee. Let's get news then of that City goal. Conor McNamara.
Scored by Erling Haaland, just short of the hour mark. Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 3. Lovely through ball by Rico Lewis into the path of the Norwegian. Dummied a shot, took it around the goalkeeper's side foot into the back of the net. Bratislava 0, Manchester City 3.
Paris Saint-Germain here 2-0 down at the Emirates in this Champions League game. In this league phase, Vitinha plays it to Zaire Emery, able to turn. Ndoué out to Neves, far side the left. Bristol Rovers 3, Charlton 0 is the latest score in League One. Manchester City actually feature in our 4 games that will bring you over the weekend in the Premier League. Manchester City, Fulham at 3 with the usual goal service. Everton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Manchester United and Brighton Spurs are our 4 games in the Premier League this weekend. They're all on 5 Live. As here is Vitinha. We've got tomorrow night and Thursday night of European football before that. Hakimi holds off Martinelli right hand side. Block comes in from Kivior. Martinelli accelerates, keeps the ball in play, level with his own penalty area. Arsenal still 2-0 up. Rice on the edge of his box. Little slip there by Lee. Springs back to his feet, but Rice clears it. Havertz was trying to roll away from Pacho, but Paris Saint-Germain still showing their quality, get the ball back. This is Lee. Hakimi has gone on ahead of him. Around the back of Kivior, comes on the inside of Rice, goes down under a challenge from Kivior. Referee had a good view of it and says no penalty.
Oh, he's been probably Paris Saint-Germain's biggest threat, Hakimi, down this right-hand side, and he was at it again there. Cut inside 2 Arsenal players inside the penalty area. And you mentioned Kivior just about timed his tackle right. He certainly dangled the leg and cut across Hakimi, but got just enough of the ball. PSG are on top at the moment. I think it's Arsenal that are trying to work their way up the pitch. That's a good ball up to Havertz.
And they're going to make changes, Luis Enrique. And for me, one of the players who's coming on was one of the standout performers at the Euros in Germany. Fabian Ruiz, the 28-year-old Spanish midfielder. He played in 6 of the 7 games. He scored 2 goals, but he was a real eye-catcher. And Colin Muani is the other player, the French international, who's going to be coming on. Hull City have got a third. QPR 1, Hull City 3. Inter lead Red Star at San Siro 2-0. That's in the Champions League. And Harrogate have got a goal back. Harrogate 1, MK Dons 3 in League 2. So Luis Enrique, changes being made in a bid to get his side back into this game, and Arsenal are also going to make a change. And Mikel Moreno, of course part of that successful Spanish side alongside Fabian, is going to be coming on for what will be his Arsenal debut after they signed him from Real Sociedad for £27.4 million, and then he had the misfortune of a shoulder injury in his first training session. But Mikel Moreno will come on just to try and shore things up, as Arsenal still in a comfortable position with 28 minutes remaining.
Yeah, they are, but they've conceded to a lot more possession in this second half to PSG, but also there's a threat of getting hit on the counter-attack, where when you're up 2-0 up at home, you cannot be getting hit on the counter-attack, and I think he'll try and make sure he puts a stop to that.
Vitinha passes the ball to Nuno Mendes, central position, now out towards that far side. This is Barcola, a few yards in from the touchline. Paris Saint-Germain playing from left to right as we look, looking for a way back in. Here is Vitinha, a curling ball in the air, needs to change his boots, does Lee. It's the second time that he's slipped. I think the rain has finally relented, but it's obviously very soft underfoot. Here's Vitinha, strokes it now to João Neves. Arsenal really have dropped back, every red and white shirt back in and around their penalty area, as Mendes into the penalty area to Barcola with his back to goal. A curling ball now to Marquinhos, who shoots, strikes an Arsenal player. That was Gabriel. They get it now to Martinelli, chance to open his legs, and he's away. And Martinelli has Lee going back with him. Martinelli carries the ball to the left corner of the area, and Lee slides in. Martinelli was caught, referee says no foul, and the ball will go out of play for a throw, and it will now be a chance to make the changes. And whilst the changes take place, we'll get an update at St James's Park in that League Cup tie.
15 minutes to go. Newcastle 1, Wimbledon 0. Eddie Howe trying to put this game to bed. Guy Moraes and Anthony Gordon have both come off the bench, but Wimbledon, while it's still only 1-0, still in this cup tie. Newcastle 1, Wimbledon 0.
And from Tyneside to Wearside, Rob Law.
Sunderland 2, Derby 0. Paul Warne, the Derby boss, has made a quadruple change, and it almost had an immediate impact. Blackett-Taylor introduced in his shot, saved at the front post of the Sunderland goal. Craig Forsyth has just gone close as well, but still Sunderland 2, Derby 0.
So Colin Muani has come on for Douay. Thomas Partey is coming off for Mikel Moreno. So Mikel Moreno will... This is the reaction for his Arsenal debut. Delayed through injury. Nice ovation for him. And Vitinha was the player to come off for Fabian. So the Spanish midfielder is on. Meanwhile, that sending off for Lincoln has proved costly. They were third in the table this morning, but Steve Bruce is looking for a 5th straight win, and Kyle Joseph, with 16 minutes remaining, has given Blackpool the lead at Bloomfield Road. Barcola is attacking far side for Paris Saint-Germain. Ball squirms away. Saka didn't keep it in play. The assistant referee on that far side has indicated it will be a throw to Paris Saint-Germain, and we still have 25 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and what the introduction of Moani does is it puts Emery's gone right up front and stood just on the inside shoulder of Gabriel. He will try and occupy those two Arsenal centre halves. It's where PSG have lacked in this game. They haven't had somebody to really trouble those two Arsenal defenders. They moved the ball wonderfully in the second half. They forced Arsenal backwards, but you've never felt that they could put the ball in there, or felt a cross or something hopeful was ever going to work out. They happen to be so precise. He may change that.
Familiar feeling for Accrington Stanley. They took the lead, but they are now behind. Cheltenham 2, Accrington Stanley 1. Paris Saint-Germain attacking. Cross from the left-hand side by Mendes. Took a deflection, it's gone behind for a corner kick in front of where those Paris Saint-Germain fans have filled that quadrant on that far side, the bottom tier here in the Emirates Stadium. The French tricolour I can see being waved away in amongst a lot of bare-chested supporters on this damp evening in North London, hoping to see their side work their way back into the game with 25 minutes remaining. It'll be Lee to take it. This should be an out-swinging corner. Indeed it is. Stabbed at the near post, off the crossbar. Comes out now to this near side. And then it's Barcola trying to roll away. Hakimi tries to burst through. But a combination of Moreno and Saliba holding up. But Hakimi wins it back. His low ball. Stopped by Trossard. Back inside his own penalty area. And that is another scare for Arsenal. Paris Saint-Germain have a throw.
Yeah, absolutely a scare. They had a warning in the first half when Mendes hit the post. They've had another warning in the second half. It was really good in the way he got across that front post area. Just got enough of a touch. I think it was in front of Kibi, or hit it down into the ground, and David Raya couldn't react quick enough. It bounced up directly over his head and hit the crossbar. And I think it was Barcola coming in at the back post. It just looped over his head, and as he could do nothing but watch it go over, and Arsenal got away with one.
They're probing Paris Saint-Germain. Here is Lee, right hand side. Arsenal now having to show their work off the ball as Fabian with an effort from distance, 25 yards out, left footed, curling over the top, out for a goal kick.
Well, we know they can defend, Arsenal, and they defend as a team. Well, they started this second half being aggressive on the front foot and actually winning the ball back from PSG in their half, but since they've actually got deeper and deeper, and not only are they not getting the opportunity to get out, they're actually still trying to play but giving the ball away in really poor areas, allowing PSG to sustain attacks, win the ball back quickly, mount more and more pressure. They've done it again.
João Neves, who actually hit the crossbar with that run towards the near post, and now the Portuguese midfielder finds Lee. That moved in the air, left-footed, parried away by Raya. Kolo Muani can't get it out from underneath his feet inside the penalty area, and Moreno gets the ball away. They're knocking on the door now, Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, they certainly are. Arsenal can't keep possession of the ball. Mikel Arteta's just turned to the crowd around him, just trying to get them to help encourage his team, try and get them up the field, because they're certainly under huge pressure.
Barcola's cross from the left. It was a casual cross. It was blocked by Saka, who's back there on defensive duties. Barcola will try again. Twist one way, twist the other. Shifts it from one foot and then the other. Still doesn't deliver the ball. Plays it back. Laid off. João Neves goes square. Zaire Emery now towards Marquinhos. Runs forward, edge of the area. Leaves it towards Lee. Pushes the ball, gets it back in field towards Zaire Emery. Playing in front of Arsenal at this stage, but starting to ask questions, even though they trailed by 2-0 midway through the second half. Hakimi now runs forward with purpose, right corner of the area. Back towards João Neves once again. And all of a sudden it's with Hakimi. Every Arsenal player is back behind the ball here, in and around their own penalty area. Those French supporters swinging those red, white and blue scarves around their heads. It's quite a sight over on that far side. Wigan 3, Peterborough 0, Doncaster 1, Barrow 0, Newport 3, Salford 1, Borussia Dortmund 6, Celtic 1 are latest scores, both domestically and in Europe here on this busy night of football, as Trossard gets it out towards Havertz now on the right hand side. Bit of respite for Arsenal. Calafiore playing as a right back. Back then to Saliba. Moreno holds on to it, out to Calafiore. just to try and take the sting out of Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, they need to keep the ball. There was an opportunity to try and hit Paris Saint-Germain on the counter-attack there, but Kai Havertz probably wisely just took control of the ball, just brought it in, made sure he got his team up the pitch, and now they're benefiting from it.
Ball high, brought down very well by Havertz, just underneath his chin. It rolled down his chest. It enabled, with that hold-up play for Arsenal, then to get down the pitch, which they do. Martinelli on this near side, the left. Haven't really seen too much of Arsenal attacking that left-hand side of the ground as we look here low down, right of the halfway line for quite a while. Such has been the pressure that Paris Saint-Germain have been building. Is Kiwior, his ball to Rice, gathered in right-footed, around knee height, back towards Kiwior, playing as a left-back. Saliba. The Arsenal supporters try and find their voices now as well inside the Emirates with just over 20 minutes remaining, leading 2-0. Calafiore gallops forward, and going back with him was Barcola. Didn't go out of play. Gabriel Jesus is going to be coming on, so a change being made by Mikel Arteta. Bristol Rovers 3, Charlton 1 is the latest score in League One. I'll try and rattle through the scores very, very soon for you. Northampton Town 0, Bolton Wanderers 4 is the latest score in League One as Jesus waits. So in the EFL Cup, that rearranged cup tie, Newcastle United still lead Wimbledon by 1-0. Commentary of that is online on the BBC Sport website. I'll give you the League 2 latest scores. Bromley 2, Chesterfield 2, Carlisle 0, Notts County 2, Cheltenham 2, Accrington 1, so still without a win for Accrington. Doncaster lead Barrow by 1-0. The leaders Gillingham are behind. Gillingham 0, Grimsby 1. Harrogate 1, MK Dons 3. Cross comes in, aimed to Kolo Muani, repelled by the Arsenal defence, cleared partially by Martinelli. But here is João Neves once more. And now Hakimi touches it to Lee, who's staying out wide on this right-hand side. Zaire Emery able to turn, right corner of the area, doesn't deliver. Lee though will, in-swinger, teasing ball, cleared by the Arsenal defence. Out towards Trossard, gets it away, but everybody's back, there's no out ball, keeps coming back.
Yeah, I don't think there's any panic in the way they're defending from Arsenal. They're not desperately trying to cover 4 or 5 yards. They're quite comfortable in the knowledge that they've done this before. They've been here before, but you're right, they just can't seem to keep control of the ball, to work up the pitch, and they're finding themselves getting deeper and deeper. And I go back to Muani again. Since his introduction, those two Arsenal centre-backs, instead of being able to step into midfield to press those PSG players that are playing in number 10 positions, suddenly they're having to stay all the way back, and PSG are picking up some very awkward positions in behind that Arsenal midfield.
Donnarumma's ball has been cut out by Rice midway through the Paris Saint-Germain half. Moreno to Martinelli. Arsenal lead by 2-0. Martinelli comes under pressure from Hakimi, runs back into his centre circle but maintains possession for Arsenal. I think I'd got up to Harrogate 1, MK Dons 3. Morecambe could be getting their first win of the season. Derek Adams against his former club. They lead Bradford City by 1-0. Newport County 3, Salford 1, Port Vale 1, Colchester 0, Tranmere 1, Swindon 1, Walsall 2, Fleetwood 4. So the top two are losing. It means that Notts County are the biggest winners to go within a point of the top, as they are 2-0 up at Brunton Park at Carlisle. And Arsenal thought they've got a corner kick, and it's left Mikel Arteta running down the touchline out of his technical area to express his fury at the fourth official.
Well, he's given a foul against Kai Havertz, who was the player running with the ball. We'll be able to maybe see it again. No, they're showing a different replay. They're showing that Lee shot from distance, which you're right, it really did swerve in the air. Raya made a huge jump to his left to make the save, and then ended up having to dive away back to his right as it swerved in that direction. Good save in the end.
Barnsley 1, Wycombe 2. Inter have got a third goal at home to Red Star in the Champions League. Bradford City have equalised, so Morecambe still may be denied their first win. Morecambe 1, Bradford City 1. Shrewsbury 0, Stockport County 2. Barnsley 2, Wycombe 2. So an equaliser at Oakwell, and Manchester City have got a fourth goal at Slovan Bratislava. Conor McNamara.
Yes, this absolutely seals it now. Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 4. James McAtee has come off the bench. End of a lovely tiki-taka move. Past the way to the penalty area. McAtee from close range beyond the goalkeeper. Slovan Bratislava 0, Manchester City 4.
So Jesus is on for Trossard, latest scores in League One. Barnsley 2, Wycombe 2. Birmingham, the leaders, still unbeaten, lead Huddersfield by a goal to nil. Blackpool looking to make it 5 consecutive wins under Steve Bruce, lead the 10 men of Lincoln by a goal to nil. Bristol Rovers 3, Charlton 1. Cambridge 0, Rotherham 0. Cambridge still without a win. Crawley 0, Mansfield 1. Leyton Orient 0, Exeter 1. Northampton 0, Bolton 4. Shrewsbury 0, Stockport County 2. As Arsenal with Jesus trying to turn inside the penalty area. Marquinhos gets the ball away. Saka plays it to Martinelli. Martinelli hits it low. Saved by Donnarumma. Down sharply to his left-hand side. Paris Saint-Germain get it away. Little turn now by Colomboani. Gabriel tried to pull him back. He was too quick for him. Colomboani running away here for Paris Saint-Germain. He's got Barcola up with him. Enters the penalty area. Barcola looks for Colomboani. But Arsenal's defence recovered and dealt with the danger.
Yeah, brilliantly. I mean, that was outstanding from Moani, just taking the ball, taking the challenge to Arsenal defence, running them back inside their own half, and he had support. Barcola on that left-hand side showed unbelievable pace to get up and beyond, and once he put it back across, Arsenal did have enough bodies back there, but who was the person to step into that position? You mentioned Saliba. I mean, he's absolutely everywhere defensively for Arsenal at the moment, backed up brilliantly by Gabriel. But again, I feel there's no panic when Arsenal are asked to defend, even in difficult situations. Some players running back towards their own goal, you can see their desperation. There's an assuredness about the way Arsenal's defensive unit go about that.
Yeah, there's they don't panic now. They're very resilient. They know exactly what need to do, and then with that, they grow in confidence. They know all the scenarios in front of them. Shrewsbury 0, Stockport 2. Stevenage 1, Wrexham 0. So with Phil Parkinson's side behind, Birmingham could actually open up a 5-point gap at the top of League One. Wigan 3, Peterborough 0, Reading 2, Burton 0. Burton still yet without a win. There's a little bit of nonsense on the far side that the referee's having to call Fabian and Calafiore towards him. Gives me an opportunity to run through the latest scores in the Championship. Burnley lead Plymouth by a goal to nil. Cardiff 1, Millwall 0. Coventry 2, Blackburn 0. Luton 2, Oxford 2. Norwich City 1, Leeds United 0. I thought that was a Leeds United equaliser earlier on. The computer screen in front of me is saying that is not the case. No, it is a Leeds United equaliser. So there's a slight blip in the system. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Hull 3. Sunderland 2, Derby 0. West Bromwich Albion 0. Middlesbrough 0. So they're all the scores elsewhere. And in fact, Coventry 3, Blackburn 0. Fleetwood have got a fifth at Walsall. They lead 5-2. Harrogate 1, MK Dons 4. Champions League with 13 minutes remaining. And after all that little bit of there was Fabian was shown a yellow card by the referee Slavko Vincic, as was Calafiore, as they had a little coming together.
Yeah, it was something and nothing really. Fabian Ruiz wanted the ball back quickly to get on. Calafiore wasn't desperate to give it to him. A little bit of pushing and shoving. The referee gave out yellow cards.
Raya comes out of his penalty area. Quick throw taken by Paris Saint-Germain. Ball played into Barcola, losing his balance in the inside left hand of the penalty area. They're appealing for a penalty. It just popped up and hit a hand, but the referee has said no, and instead has given an Arsenal free kick.
Well, it definitely hit the hand of Calafiore. I mean, we've seen them given in European football, we've seen them given at all levels, and the PSG players, there's 3 of them around the referee now trying to answer the question. It takes a ricochet up off Saliba, beg your pardon, and he's only 2 yards away. There's nothing Calafiore can really do about it. In my opinion, it's a natural running position, and then a panic because he sees the ball going towards his hand. But yeah, we're seeing Luis Enrique, who's down in front of us, he was screaming to the fourth official, but the referee unmoved by it.
And also it's come off his own player. It's a deflection off his own player.
Yeah, but we've still seen them given for an awful lot less, so I think it was a heart-in-mouth moment, but you don't want to see handball for that kind of thing where there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. It's your own player. It's a situation like that. I'm glad the referee was wise in that assertion.
Somewhat of a charmed life at the moment for Calafiore, because many believe he should have been sent off against Leicester at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he was very fortunate not to receive that second yellow card. It looked to all the world like it would be, but Arsenal would probably say they're riding the luck a little bit tonight. That PSG have hit the woodwork twice. They've had a penalty kick potentially go Arsenal's way, so they just need to keep the concentration levels high now. 78 minutes on the clock. You've got yourself into a brilliant position. you know you can defend Leeds well. Make sure you see this one through.
Crawley 0, Mansfield 2, Cambridge 0, Rotherham 1, Northampton 1, Bolton 4, Harrogate 1, MK Dons 5 are all latest scores. The BBC Sport website, of course, will give you all of the full-time scores when they come in. As here is Declan Rice to Saka, helps it on its way to Jesus, back with Rice once more. The 5 Live Football Daily will bring you all the reaction from tonight's games. And tomorrow night we're at Villa Park. What a cracking atmosphere that will be at Villa Park. Aston Villa against Bayern Munich. Quite fitting that it is Bayern for their first home game in Europe's elite competition. As there's been another goal for Dortmund. So Borussia Dortmund 7, Celtic 1 is a latest score from the Westfalenstadion in the Champions League. Manchester City leading 4-0 away to Slovan Bratislava as Kibio almost gets caught in possession on the edge of his own penalty area. Saliba is ahead of him. His diagonal ball with the aid of a deflection goes out of play for a Arsenal throw over on that far side, the right. And don't forget as well, the Stadio Dragao on Thursday night, Europa League coverage on 5 Live, Porto against Manchester United. But for Luis Enrique and Paris Saint-Germain, their unbeaten run at the start of this season is going to be coming to an end. And also, they've only failed to score twice in their last 25 games, and that was in those back-to-back games against Dortmund in last year's Champions League semi-finals. Come close tonight, but haven't been able to get a way back into the game as of yet, as Arsenal have a throw over on that far side, the right, that they take quickly towards Martinelli, inside right channel, the penalty area, hooks it. It was offside. They can't have been offside. It's from a throw. The assistant referee has indicated he was coming back from an offside position.
I think he's saying the ball went out, maybe, and it's a goal kick, maybe. I mean, it's tough for us to tell from this distance. Martinelli's not happy regardless of what decision was made by the official.
Well, Mikel Arteta looks equally perplexed, and he's having a word with the fourth official down below, as we'll go to the Hawthorns, where there's been a goal. Lee Blakeman.
Middlesbrough have got it. West Brom 0, Middlesbrough 1. Hayden Hackney with a shot, edge of the area, bottom corner. They deserve it too. West Brom 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Scored a fine goal at the weekend. So West Bromwich Albion behind at the Hawthorns, which means that Sunderland will be the new leaders, and in fact Burnley will leapfrog West Bromwich Albion into second as well, because Burnley still leading Plymouth by 1-0 at Turf Moor. Inter have got a fourth goal against Red Star in the Champions League. Inter 4, Red Star 0. And we've got 8 minutes remaining. And do you sense now that the danger from Paris Saint-Germain has passed?
I get the sense that as long as Arsenal don't do anything silly, that they'll see this through. I want to talk about silly. PSG just had an attack down the left-hand side. Barcola got into a nice position. Saliba defended it well. And then inside his own penalty area, Calafiori took 2 and 3 touches and nearly lost the ball to Mouani. Saliba had to then redefend it and make sure it went out for a goal kick. Just those moments. I think Arsenal are, as mentioned, assured defensively. I don't think PSG have done enough to really break through with regards to scoring a goal, despite hitting the woodwork.
Barcelona have got a 5th goal against Young Boys in the Champions League. Cardiff City have got their first win of the season. They've beaten Millwall in the Championship by 1-0. And Birmingham City have won again. Their 1-0 victory against Huddersfield, with Wrexham losing at Stevenage, means they'll go 5 points clear at the top of League One. Walsall 2, Fleetwood 6 is a latest score. The 10 men of Lincoln have got a goal back at Blackpool. Blackpool 1, Lincoln 1, Bristol Rovers 3, Charlton 2. Paris Saint-Germain meanwhile are attacking. Hakimi on the right hand side links up with Lee. Hakimi was challenged by Kivior. The referee has played the advantage. Zaire Emery switches play out towards that far side, the left. 7 minutes remain of normal time. Mendes stumbling, goes down towards the byline, tries to work it over. Does it go behind? Yes, it does. Paris Saint-Germain have got a corner kick, far side, and indeed it's finished at Bloomfield Road. Blackpool 1, Lincoln 1. Steve Bruce's winning run comes to an end.
Well, despite what we said, we felt the game was going. PSG certainly haven't given up on this. They are starting to put players into really advanced attacking positions. They're realising that a defeat is a defeat. They might as well expose themselves. Both fullbacks in high advanced positions, both wingers starting to come more centrally to really get players inside that Arsenal penalty area. So Arsenal have to be at their best.
They wait to take the corner kick as Reading now lead Burton 3-0, and it comes from that far side. Marquinhos with a header, looping over the crossbar. Port Vale 1, Colchester 1 is the latest score. Bristol Rovers 3, Charlton 2 is also a latest score in League One. Do you think we've seen two sides of Arsenal tonight? In terms of they were more progressive in the first half, and second half they've been without the ball.
I think we've seen two sides of Arsenal during games all season. I think they've showed what they've had to. I think they've been very pragmatic. I think when they need a goal, they go out and get one. I think when they've got a goal, they're happy to make sure that they try and see a game through. And I think that was the case. I think this is a game that they felt not only was a winnable game, but an important game to win. And I think they went out to get those goals in the first half. Their tempo was very good going forward. There was a lot more hunger to go out and entertain, open up and score goals. And then, as we've become accustomed to, Arsenal know how to defend in these positions. And they've been less open. They've been less hungry to go out and expose themselves in the second half to score another goal. They're not given much away defensively.
Well, this will extend their unbeaten run in the Champions League to 6 games at home. And in the previous 5, they have kept clean sheets in 4 of those. Newcastle United have beaten Wimbledon in that rearranged League Cup tie by 1-0 at St James's Park. So they'll be at home to Chelsea in round 4. Blackburn Rovers' unbeaten run has ended. They've lost 3-0 at Coventry in the Championship. Burnley have moved second. They've beaten Plymouth by 1-0. Luton 2, Oxford 2 is how it's finished. QPR 1, Hull City 3, and Burton Albion have got a goal back, but it's a mere consolation. Reading 3, Burton 1 is the latest in League One. 4 minutes remain of normal time. João Neves hits a high, hopeful ball. Hakimi takes it high on the chest, but again, Kiwior, as a left back, does well, deals with, puts it out of play for a throw, because Hakimi's quick. He's a real threat when he gets forward. Still, the Parisian support jump up and down behind that goal as the ball is stroked by Zaire Emery. To Pacho, the central defender. Marquinhos takes over. 3 minutes remaining of normal time. Sporting have got a goal back in the Champions League. PSV 1, Sporting Lisbon 1. Arsenal have actually got to go to Sporting, the Portuguese champions, who have won their last 8 in all competitions. As Hakimi is fed down the line by Neves, enters the penalty area, pulls it back. He was looking towards Fabian. There was a slip there, I think, by Kolo Muani inside the penalty area. Arsenal get it away, and then Luis Enrique is furious. Enrique is enraged. A decision goes against him, and he's now getting taunted by the Arsenal supporters in front of us here as Arsenal will get a free kick. 2-0 they lead.
Yeah, but he's not happy. Neither is his striker, Muani. As they broke forward and they got in behind Arsenal in this left-sided left-back area for Arsenal. It's good play. João Neves releasing Hakimi in behind Kiwior, and they did have bodies in the penalty area. I think they had 4 to Arsenal's 3. Muani was trying to get away from Declan Rice, who saw the situation and really did grab hold of him and drag him back. There is a potential penalty check, but I think it occurred outside the penalty area. I got to see it the once, but he certainly did tug him back. There was a reason why he went to ground, Muani, and it was quite cute from Declan Rice, but it was outside the penalty area, and as long as the referee doesn't see it, VAR can't call it back.
Well, it is Knights Kacijovic, who is the VAR official, who's had a look at it, but play is back underway. Sunderland have beaten Derby County 2-0 at the Stadium of Light, so they are the new leaders of the Championship, with West Bromwich Albion trailing at home to Middlesbrough by 2-0. That is the only game in the Championship, incidentally, that is still being played, an 8 o'clock kickoff at the Hawthorns. Arsenal lead 2-0. Gabriel Jesus, right side of the penalty area, and we have 2 minutes remaining of normal time. Paris Saint-Germain, who haven't really had to do much defending. In fact, the only effort I can recall for Arsenal in the second half of note was the Martinelli volley straight at Donnarumma.
Yeah, a moment that really should have put the game out of sight and eased Arsenal through the next 20-25 minutes of the game. It was a big chance, a very good save, albeit goalkeeper shouldn't have had to make. Had chance to make the opportunity to make the save, but you're right, Arsenal have been very controlled in the way they've stepped forward and the way they've attacked in this second half, making sure that, yes, they may not score another goal, but they don't need to, as long as they keep PSG out.
They're a team now that has nous, Arsenal. You know, in the past you could have accused them of having maybe a soft underbelly or a little of naivety.
Yeah,
there is a resilience about them.
And an experience, despite, you know, the average age in the team being only 26. And it's an experience that I think this PSG side will get over the next few seasons. The average age of their team is only 23. João Neves 20, Pierre-Emerick 18, Barcola 22, Doué 19. These players will get better and learn the cuteness and the moments of playing clever within the game.
Well, Arsenal's next game in the Champions League is at home to Shakhtar before they travel to Inter in San Siro, which will be a test for them, as will it be against Sporting Lisbon. Imperative then, they've got the 3 points here tonight as Barcola tries to weave his way into the penalty area, but Arsenal defending in numbers, but a tired Martinelli has given the ball away. And now maybe for Lee, the South Korean, pulls it back. Hakimi off balance, strikes Muwani's hand. Cleared though by Kivior. Still Arsenal dig in, as we're about to find out how much added on time there will be here at the Emirates. Arsenal leading 2-0. And that goes in favour of Arsenal for a free kick. 4 minutes of added on time, which we're now into here on 5 Live.
Yeah, just as kind of Saka goes to ground, I think he's exhausted. Martinelli, as you just mentioned, did not want that pass to him a moment ago on the edge of his own penalty area. He had half a pitch of his own half and their half to run into, and didn't want to run, was just exhausted. And ball came up to Kai Havertz moments later, and he's been outstanding. He's been outstanding probably for 18 months now, and the way he held that ball up and won his team a free kick.
Arsenal are attacking right hand side. Jesus tried to burst his way through. João Neves took it away off his toes and then actually clears it off the Brazilian's knees, and it bounces behind and he'll go out for a goal kick. Arsenal are going to make a change. Lewis Skelly is going to be coming on because of what's happening in the Middle East. 5 Live Sport will come off air at 10 tonight. We will of course provide you with the Football Daily podcast with all the reaction to tonight's football, but all the latest news developments and a full roundup of what's been happening at 10 o'clock on BBC Radio 5 Live. And of course don't forget breakfast in the morning from 6 o'clock on 5 Live, as Lewis Skelly is going to come on for Saka for what will be just the third appearance for the 18-year-old midfielder.
Yeah, wonderful opportunity to step into a game of this magnitude. Saka, as I mentioned, went down. He was exhausted as well. They've worked really hard, especially without the ball in the second half, Arsenal. Saka and Martinelli certainly feeling the effects of that.
European debut for Lewis Skelly. Made his debut only recently against Manchester City. Had his first start against Bolton in the League Cup. Manchester City, talking of which, have won 4-0 away Slovan Bratislava. So Slovan Bratislava have conceded 9 goals in their 2 opening games in the Champions League after their thumping by Celtic, as Nuno Mendes delivers a cross, blocked behind for a corner kick, and Manchester City, after that goalless draw against Inter, will move on to 4 points. A reminder in this format, the top 8 qualify automatically. 9 to 24 you go into a playoff. Young Boys have got a consolation. Barcelona 5, Young Boys 1. Paris Saint-Germain have a corner kick, bounces it way through and gathered in by Raya at his near post. And we're already through 2.5 minutes of the minimum of 4, as only now is Saka making his way to the dugout and getting a standing ovation from the supporters around us.
Yeah, he deserves one. I mean, he's been involved in the second goal. He won the free kick. He's scored it once he got up off the ground, and he's skipper in the side tonight, even for a player of his age. It shows a career he's had, and to now be a leader of this team when Odegaard's not available, it's testament to him and his character.
That Young Boys goal incidentally disallowed after VAR, so Barcelona still lead 5-0. We're inside the last 60 seconds and Arsenal are leading by 2-0. Havertz's header, his 5th of the season after 20 minutes, and then that Saka direct free kick going all the way through 10 minutes before half-time. There have been the odd scares. Paris Saint-Germain have hit the post, they've also hit the crossbar, but Arsenal, who've been very defensive-minded in this second half, have still restricted David Raya, or shots to David Raya, to 4 at most, maybe 5 at a push.
Yeah, I don't remember him having to make an outstanding save. I don't remember seeing him scrambling across his goal.
Swerving one in the second half and his near post in the first.
Even that one ended up being right in the middle of the goal. It was the fact he jumped left to come back right. And I suppose when I was outfield player, if you're limiting your goalkeeper to 4 or 5 shots from distance that are all pretty central, very, very savable, I think you've done a good job.
Paris Saint-Germain in the last moments have got a free kick, curls towards the far post, comes out to Zaire Emery, touches it out to his left. Fabian plays the ball down the line. Barcola now swings over the cross. Marquinhos has stayed forward, but Raya assured handling. And as the referee is about to blow his full-time whistle, you think, and there is the full-time scoreline, and David Raya stays on the ground, but with clenched fist celebrates. 4 points out of 6 from a testing start for Arsenal in this Champions League campaign is more than a satisfactory start.
Absolutely. This victory makes that result in Atalanta look even better. It really does back it up, going away to a difficult opening game, keeping a clean sheet, then playing PSG, a team of quality, a team that you said have scored in 25 games running, and keeping them to a clean sheet as well. Just outstanding defensive performance, got the goals they needed. I felt it was a game they were in control of. Arsenal felt they played within themselves. They got the goals when they needed to, and then they defended them in that second half. So they'll be really pleased with the open to their Champions League campaign. I'm sure Mikel Arteta will be hoping for much more the same when they step into their next game at home to Shakhtar.
Well, they're up and running with their first win in this new league phase. First half goals from Havertz and Saka, and Arsenal have beaten Paris Saint-Germain by 2-0. Kelly.
Ian Dennis and Leon Osman at the Emirates for us this evening. And Leon, I know you said this is a really high quality PSG side, and they certainly were better in the second half, but sometimes the worry for a side that comes away, gets a really good win in this competition, is what it might take out of them. This looked quite comfortable for Arsenal.
Yeah, it did. I mean, for all of the quality I've said about PSG having, and they were better in the second half, they did miss a Dembele, somebody that can just get you a goal. They've obviously moved on Mbappe in the summer. They've somebody that can take the quality and the build-up and the way they play, the technical gifted play, and just provide a magic moment out of somewhere. They don't have that tonight, so Arsenal were very assured in the way they defended. They made sure that they didn't allow Barcola to get in behind, and other than that it was shots from distance. So yeah, they'll be pleased with how they defended Arsenal. Yes, PSG played really well, but as I said, yeah, despite them hitting the woodwork twice, once from a set piece, one from a left back stepping forward at one moment, I felt Arsenal were comfortable.
That Arsenal defence, I mean, you mentioned it there in the wrap-up with Deno. They're another clean sheet for them, and they have been so effective. I mean, I know it's not rocket science, but if you've got a strong defensive base and you've got players who can score goals, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, I mean, the only slip up or lack of concentration, you'd say, from Arsenal's defence this season was here against Leicester, from a 2-0 position to find yourself 2-2 and having to then rely on the attacking side of the team to go and get them out of trouble. Was the only poor moment for Arsenal's defence, but then their attack went and did it for them, and they've got good balance from that this season. But yeah, they conceded 2 goals at Manchester City, but they played with 10 men for over a half against one of the outstanding teams in world football, and managed to keep it to the last second goal conceded. Other than that, Arsenal have been outstanding. What I do say about Arsenal is they don't defend as a back four, they defend as an 11, they defend as a team. Every one of them is part of that defensive structure. They all get back behind the goal, they attack together, they defend together. They don't sort of do it in 2s and 3s where they leave 2 or 3 up to hit on the counter-attack. Everybody is involved, and everybody will be proud of the clean sheets they're keeping.
And the other thing, Leon, that there's been a lot of talk about this season is the maturity of Arsenal, the fact that they can manage these games, that it's not, all about just, getting everybody forward, that there is a balance to the side.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. At times they do it with more possession than the opposition. Today they did it with less possession than Paris Saint-Germain. Also, I think it was possession, but they know how to defend without the ball. Luis Enrique said before the game, Arsenal are one of the best in the world without the ball. This is a top team. This is a team that we think is competing for the Premier League, a team that could compete for the Champions League this season. So they have to have quality in possession of the ball. We've seen that since the arrival of Mikel Arteta, but now we're seeing the whole package. We're seeing the whole team come together, and they do look like a really strong outfit at the moment.
Go on then, you brought it up, so I'm going to follow up with it. 2 games into this new season of Champions League action, is it a competition that Arsenal can win?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd say, do you think Manchester City can win this tournament? And I'd say pretty much everybody would say yeah. And Arsenal went toe-to-toe with them in the league, in the Premier League all last season. We expect they'll go toe-to-toe with them again all this season. So certainly a competition that they've got the quality to win. Whether they have got the experience to win and the European nous to win yet, they've been growing at it year by... Well, they grew at it last year. They were out of European competition at the highest level for a few seasons. So they are building towards it, but I do think they're capable.
Leon, Andy, and there's going to be more from both of you in the Football Daily podcast. That's going to be available to